Chapter 259. Yang Wu really couldn't suppress the power in his body. He couldn't stand in Runin's disgusting androgynous appearance. She was really ugly to the extreme. After he roared, everyone was completely stunned, including Nan Runin herself. Yang Wu, what did you just say? Did I hear wrong? Nan Runin asked nervously. Yang Wu met Nan Runin's gaze and shouted, I told you to get lost. Did you hear me? All of you, get lost for this regiment commander. In an instant, Nan Runin's face turned pale. Her heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. She was about to faint on the spot. In the past, she could ignore Yang Wu's words, but this time, her father had personally come and brought her to propose marriage. This was not something a woman should do, but something a man should do. She had already taken the initiative to do it. She had even taken off her armor and put on the gauze satin she didn't want to wear the most. But in exchange, she received such a merciless blow. No one would be able to stand it. Nan Qi rushed over and supported his daughter. At the same time, he glared at Yang Wu and said, Boy, I advise you to take back what you just said. General Nan, I respect you as an elder. Don't force me to say anything unpleasant. You can all leave. Yang Wu looked calmly at Nan Qi. It seems that if I don't make you suffer a little, you won't put this old man in your eyes. Today, I want you to marry my daughter. Southern Qi threw Nan Runin back in front of the soldiers of the Heavy Armor Battalion and released an overbearing force from his body to shroud Yang Wu. Nan Qi, Nan Tianfu. This was a veteran general who had fought on the battlefield for more than 40 years. He had his daughter at an old age and regarded her as the pearl of his palm. He had always spoiled her. Now, how could he allow Yang Wu to bully his daughter like this? Yang Wu faced Nan Qi's high-ranking king aura without moving. He faced Nan Qi and said, General Nan, you should conduct yourself with dignity. My ass, I'm going to teach you how to be my son-in-law. Qinhua of the Southern Qi Kingdom could no longer suppress his anger. He slashed at Yang Wu with his bare hands. His arm turned into an axe and fell towards Yang Wu. The golden light was incomparably sharp and powerful. As he made his move, the people around him were forced to continuously retreat for fear of being caught in the crossfire. Yang Wu saw this move coming and pushed Lu Ji far away. At the same time, he condensed a claw and grabbed the axe. Yang Wu's strength was still much weaker than Nan Qi's. After the claw caught the axe light, it was directly shattered. The axe light continued to chop down on Yang Wu. Yang Wu raised his eyebrows and turned his claw into a fist, punching out like a bolt of lightning. Bang! This time, his uppercut shattered his opponent's axe. You have some skills, but how many axes can you take from me? Nan Qi shouted. He swung his arms left and right and furiously chopped down again and again. The power of the double axe light was like a mountain-splitting axe, wildly chopping at Yang Wu. The power of each chop reached the power of 300 meters. This was the terrifying battle strength of a high-ranking king. In that case, don't blame me for not respecting my elders. Yang Wu's eyes darkened. He shouted and stepped out of the dragon turtle water suppressing stance. His body was like a pine tree standing firmly on the ground. He drew his fist in and punched out again. A straight punch. One punch, two punches, three punches in an instant. Yang Wu's fist continuously punched out. There were a total of 18 straight punches. Each punch contained boundless fist intent and was mixed with incomparably domineering, profound qi. It was as if the world was trembling. Rumble, rumble. After the fist force and the axe light intertwined, there were continuous explosions. A lot of profound qi madly splashed in all directions, scaring many soldiers into retreating again and again. At the same time, the generals in the army sensed the fluctuations of these two auras. They quickly rushed out of their tents and rushed in the direction of the battle. Nan Qi's axe light was all blocked by Yang Wu. None of the axes could fall on Yang Wu. Nan Qi was surprised. He thought to himself, this boy really has some skills. It seems that I'll have to fight with my life on the line. Mountain-splitting axe. Nan Qi condensed his profound qi into an axe and blasted out the king skill that made him famous. The momentum was several times more domineering than before. When this move fell, it was enough to split a mountain. Yang Wu faced this punch and still blasted out the soldier fist. The blood in his body boiled to the extreme. His fighting spirit swept this side of the world. He shouted, "Fight!" At this moment, Yang Wu no longer suppressed his warlike bloodline. He took the initiative to launch an attack. He stepped out continuously. Deep pits appeared on the ground one after another, and each pit was filled with wet and cold water. He blasted out his fists again and again. Each punch contained a shocking fist intent and an unparalleled fighting spirit that soared into the sky. Nan Shiqin's axe light was directly blasted apart by Yang Wu's fist force and greeted him. This gave Nan Shiqin a fright. Fortunately, he reacted quickly enough and dodged Yang Wu's attack in time. However, Yang Wu's attack had just begun. A round of fist force blasted out like a storm. Each punch contained the 1-inch punch, making the power of the fist light even more powerful. Nan Shiqin was worthy of being called an old general on the battlefield. He released all of the power of a high-level king and completely clashed with Yang Wu. "I don't believe that I can't take down a brat like you," Nan Shiqin unwillingly shouted and used all of his strength. His arms were like axes as they smashed down again and again. The golden profound chi dyed him into a mighty golden god of war. Yang Wu forced himself to use all of his strength. Without using his innate talent, he was still able to fight to a draw with Nan Shiqin. This stunned the generals who rushed over. "Why are they fighting? What kind of scandal is this?" Feng Tyson said in a cold tone. "Let me go and persuade them to stop." Su Tinghong said. Fun Tianxiong stopped him and said, "Let them fight. It must be because of Runin. Otherwise, with old Nan's personality, he wouldn't make things difficult for Yang Wu." He then said to the people beside him, "Evacuate everyone else. Don't let them be affected." "Yes, Marshal," the deputy general beside Fun Tianxiong said. "Brother Yang's fighting strength is truly abnormal. He's even evenly matched with old Nan." Chao Jianda praised. "What's so surprising about that? Yang Wu is a ruthless person who slaughtered Shirkaile. If he used his will of death, old Nan wouldn't be his opponent." Tai Rue said from the side. In the battle with the barbarian army, Tai Rue was heavily injured. After a period of recuperation, he finally recovered a lot of his blood. That's right, Yang was a lot of trump cards. Nan Shiqin might not be able to suppress him. Fun Tianxiong said. Sure enough, the two were already fighting with fire. They fought from the ground to the sky. Nan Shiqin even used his Southern Sky Axe and used his ultimate move to defeat the younger generation in front of him. Axe splitting Heaven's Gate. With this axe, Nan Shiqin really wanted to split open the Southern Sky Gate in the Heavenly Court. The dazzling axe light flashed in the sky and scattered many clouds. A long axe mark appeared in the sky. It was truly domineering. Yang Wu could feel the terror of this axe. He already had no way of holding back. He waved his arms, one hand forming a fist and the other forming a palm. The shadow of a flood dragon turtle appeared behind him, wanting to overturn rivers and seas. Dragon turtle sea turning technique. After Yang Wu absorbed the essence blood of the flood dragon and the turtle, his comprehension of this move had become even deeper. He had reached the proficient stage, and its power was beginning to show. He could do whatever he wanted. Rumble, rumble. In the sky, the two forces collided like a natural disaster. It shook the sky as if it was about to fall. The soldiers below frantically fled, afraid that they would be smashed by the power that splashed down, and then they would be dead. Fortunately, a king came out and swept away the power, preventing them from being hurt. In the clash of the two moves, it was the dragon turtle that blew away the Southern Sky Axe. Nan Shiqin was forced back again and again. His old face was full of shame and shock. He was a high-level king, but he couldn't suppress a low-level king. This was the greatest ridicule. Yang Wu didn't take advantage of the situation to pursue, but he also didn't let down his guard. Who knew if the old guy would come again? Enough, stop, Fun Tianxiong said to mediate. Kid, remember what you did today. You will definitely regret it. Nan Chi-Chin snorted coldly at Yang Wu and quickly swept to the ground. Grabbing his dazed daughter, he returned to his tent after a few leaps. Yang Wu withdrew his aura and slowly descended, his face full of helplessness. Yang Wu, don't bicker with old Nan. He only has one daughter. You don't like her, so it's normal for him to be angry. Su Tinghong said to Yang Wu. Yang Wu nodded and said, I'm also in the wrong. Let him go. I hope he won't cause trouble for me again. I'll go back and talk to old Nan about this. Su Tinghong had a deep relationship with Nan Chi-Chin, so he was the most qualified to say this. Thank you for your trouble, General Su. Yang Wu cupped his hands and said, All right, everyone can disperse. Fun Tianxiong saw that the situation had calmed down and ordered the soldiers not far away to disperse. Just like this, a small storm passed. Yang Wu didn't want to shed all pretense of cordiality. He was forced into a corner and didn't have the mood to stay in the tent to concoct medicine. He rushed to the pit dug by the Death Legion and stood up with the dragon turtle water suppressing stance. He had the profound water pearl on him and used the dragon turtle water suppressing stance to absorb water from the ground, drawing a bit of water from the pit. This kind of action was definitely something new. The surrounding soldiers all stared with their eyes wide open at the shocking process of the deep pit turning from a little bit of water to a full pit of water and finally turning into a pond. Isn't the commander the water god? He can even summon water. What a miracle! The commander is no longer someone we can speculate about. There's hope in following him. Even General Nan was defeated by the current commander. In a few years, will there be any opponent in the army? In the near future, when the barbarian army hears the commander's name, they will be scared to death. Chapter 260. The spring breeze blew and the blue waves rippled. Within the army's range, only the logistics department had water. It was very difficult to find water anywhere else. They had to draw water from the mountains in the logistics department. Now, not far from the Death Legion, 3 ponds had appeared. The water was so clear that one could see the bottom. It wasn't any worse than flowing water in the mountains. It looked very pure. The water in these 3 ponds wasn't from the accumulation of rain or water from underground. Instead, it was from a young man. The young man didn't pour the water from the mountains, nor did he draw it from underground. Instead, he used his own ability to draw it up. This method of turning something rotten into something miraculous completely stunned the Death Legion. Yang Wu was already up to his chest in the pond. He opened his eyes and muttered to himself, It's about time. Then he lightly kicked off the ground and jumped out of the pond. The water in these 3 ponds was drawn in by his dragon turtle water suppressing stance and the mysterious water pearl. The dragon turtle could absorb water, while the mysterious water pearl could divert and absorb water. Otherwise, with his current strength as a king, he would not be able to do such a miraculous thing. Shuiji, Du Guangfo, and Zheng Xiaohu had all seen this miracle with their own eyes. They had long since been shocked by Yang Wu. Their unruly personalities didn't dare to show any arrogance in front of Yang Wu. Yang Wu said to the commanders, Call the 300 soldiers over first. Yes, commander. The commanders replied and turned to call for the soldiers. Not long after, the 300 soldiers of the Death Legion were all in place. Yang Wu looked at them and said, All of you go into the water. 100 people enter each pond. Yes, commander. No one dared to go against Yang Wu's orders. They all quickly entered the ponds. They didn't understand why Yang Wu wanted them to enter the water. Was he going to drown them? After they all landed, Yang Wu took out 3 medicine bottles and said to Shuiji, Du Guangfo, and Zheng Xiao, Pour these into the ponds. The 3 of them accepted the order and poured the medicine into the 3 ponds. ZZ. When a medicinal liquid fell into the pool, it made a strange sound as if oil had fallen into water. Yang Wu, on the other hand, sent out a palm strike when the medicinal liquid fell, quickly merging the medicinal liquid into the pool. Pay attention to absorbing the medicinal liquid in the water. How much you can absorb will depend on your ability, Yang Wu reminded. At this moment, the soldiers in the pool were slightly stunned. Immediately after, they used their own methods and began to concentrate and circulate their profound arts to absorb the medicinal power in the pool. They were not fools. They knew that Yang Wu was the medicine king, and the liquid in front of them might be a good thing to improve their strength. How could they miss it? Sure enough, when they calmly absorbed the power of the water, they could feel the medicinal power taking effect on their bodies. It was soft and numb, making their bodies feel warm and comfortable. This time, they were even more certain that the water in the pool had turned into a spirit spring, which was very useful to them. 100 people in each pool divided the power in the pool. Even if they were only low-level warriors, they still needed a lot. Fortunately, Yang Wu had made a concentrated medicinal liquid. Otherwise, it would be difficult to support them. About an hour later, someone cried out in surprise, "Ha! I broke through. I broke through to the mid-level general realm." Then, one after another, people cried out, "The old injuries on my body have healed, and the strength of my physique seems to have increased a lot. Commander gave us the spiritual liquid. My strength is about to break through." Those who have successfully broken through, come out of the pool. "Don't delay any longer," Yang Wu said. The soldiers who had broken through in the pool hurriedly climbed out of the pool, not daring to delay in the slightest. They had already tasted the sweetness, so how could they disobey the commander's orders? Unfortunately, there was someone who refused to come up. He thought that Yang Wu hadn't noticed him, so Yang Wu stretched out a claw from afar. The claw made of blue, profound energy grabbed the top of that person's head, grabbed him, and smashed him fiercely into the distance. Bang! Before that person could react, he was already knocked unconscious. "Those who disobey will be beheaded," Yang Wu said coldly. This frightened the soldiers in the pool. They did not dare to have any other thoughts. They could not afford to offend such a commander. After 2 hours, the medicinal liquid in the pool had gradually thinned out, and there was no longer any effect. But in this hour, there were already 20 to 30 people who had successfully broken through. Most of them had obtained many benefits. Their old injuries had healed, and their profound qi had also improved. All of them seemed to be in high spirits, and their gazes towards Yang Wu were filled with incomparable reverence and gratitude. "Change to the next batch," Yang Wu announced again. Everyone came out of the pool, and the commander summoned another batch of people. It was the same method, the same medicinal liquid, the same process, and the same harvest. This repeated for an entire day until late at night. All the soldiers of the Death Legion had been nourished by the medicinal liquid, and their physiques had been greatly improved. To them, this was like a sweet spring in the desert. They were extremely excited and happy. They finally realized that this time, they were on the wrong side. Yang Wu gathered everyone and said in a clear voice against the night, "Tomorrow, 500 horses will be assigned to our Death Legion. These 500 horses will be given to the soldiers with the highest realms. Before long, I will have all of you become cavalry. However, the prerequisite is that you all must cultivate well and not be a burden to this commander. If anyone can't keep up, I will let them die on the battlefield. From today onwards, you all will be the strongest Death Legion, stronger than all the other legions in the Barbarian Suppression Army. Do you all understand?" "We understand, Commander," everyone replied in unison. "Very good. From today onwards, you will have commanders to teach you profound techniques above the general level. I want all of you to become generals in the future, and at least a third of you will become kings. Do you all have confidence in this commander?" Yang Wu said with incomparable enthusiasm. "Yes." Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement as they replied. Lu Ji looked at the impassioned Yang Wu and silently thought to himself, "Following this kind of master who can sway people, there's no need to worry about big things." After Yang Wu encouraged everyone with a few words, he returned to the barracks with Lu Ji. "Lu Ji, I'm preparing to leave for a few days. I'll leave this place to you," Yang Wu said to Lu Ji. At this moment, he couldn't help but think of the cold-faced adjutant. If he hadn't died in battle, perhaps he could have become his right-hand man. Actually, it would have been very good if Shouho was here, but Yang Wu didn't want to suppress Shouho's development. He should have his own path and become even stronger in the future. "How long will the lore be gone for?" Lu Ji asked. "I can't say for sure. If it's fast, it'll be a month. If it's slow, it'll be 3 months. So, during this time, you have to help me supervise the entire army. If anyone disagrees, let Li Dazue and Zhou Yong kill them without mercy." This is my command token. Take it. Yes, Lord. You have to come back quickly. Otherwise, I'm afraid that if this continues, others will be jealous. Jealous of what? You've raised the strength of the entire army. How can the people in the other barracks not be jealous? You talking about this matter? No problem. They won't dare to act recklessly. Later on, they'll come begging us. After Yang Wu and Lu Ji finished talking, they took advantage of the night and left with Meng Bingxue and the silver-patterned turtle. Not long after Yang Wu left, some powerful kings arrived at the barracks. Their target was Yang Wu, but unfortunately, they ended up empty-handed. Fun Tianxiong and Chao Jinda wanted Yang Wu to refine the profound congealing pill, but Yang Wu had not left to refine it for them. First, they had not collected enough herbs, and second, he did not have time to idle around. He had to complete the plan in his heart within 3 months. He would have to wait until the day he returned to refine the pills. Yang Wu's destination was the Ice Wolf clan. He wanted to see how little Hay was doing. He hoped that it would wake up and then accompany him to the barbarian race. That way, he would have more confidence. If people knew what he was thinking, they would most likely be shocked. Yang Wu wanted to go straight to the barbarian race's territory alone. Wasn't this simply courting death? No one knew what Yang Wu was thinking. Yang Wu did not want anyone to know for the time being. Even Wan Lanxin was the same. This plan was all to let him return to the king's city as soon as possible. He believed that as long as it succeeded, no one would be able to stop him from returning to the king's city. Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue sat together on the silver-patterned turtle and slowly moved towards the Ice Wolf clan. When I return, it will be the day those guys tremble. Yang Wu looked back in the direction of Royal City and shouted with lofty sentiments. Meng Bingxue could feel the change in Yang Wu's mood and took the initiative to hug him, giving him some comfort and encouragement. Yang Wu patted her hand and said, "Don't worry, I will be fine. This time, I will look for a way to deal with your soul so that you can recover as soon as possible." He did not have a way to make Meng Bingxue better, but that did not mean that little Hay did not have a way. They went all the way north. With the Demon King's aura from the silver-patterned turtle, no beast or spirit beast dared to cause trouble. Soon, they arrived at the river, and once again went to the Ice Wolf clan's territory by water. Along the way, Yang Wu did not talk to Meng Bingxue, but spent the rest of his time crazily absorbing the Xian Qi of heaven and earth. Water Xian Qi was always the power that he desired the most. With the 9 mysteries formula's speed of absorbing energy, and his body's meridians and acupoints all opened, it was very easy for him to become stronger. During the 2 days on the road, his cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds, from the middle stage of the Earth-Sea realm to the late stage. This was not only because he could absorb the Xian Qi of heaven and earth quickly, but also because of the battle with the Southern Qi Kingdom's Qin family. He had absorbed all the remaining energy from the medicinal soup, which allowed him to reach this stage. This was equivalent to several years of cultivation for others. Chapter 261. As Yang Wu's strength gradually increased, he felt that his body had an inexplicable connection with the world. He could not figure out what this connection was. It was as if no matter where he was, he could sense the changes in the world. For example, the spring breeze was cool, and his body had become cool. For example, there were flowers blooming on the shore, and his body had a kind of joy. It was like a beast hiding in its nest and dying of old age, and he felt inexplicably sad. It was as if all the joy, anger, sorrow, and joy in the world were closely related to him. He could feel them all. This feeling was not very strong, but it really existed. He searched for the reason and finally realized that it should be the changes in the divine court Dao flower that gave him this feeling. The power of the divine court Dao flower was also slowly increasing, and the appearance of its soul was becoming more real. The soul-body fusion cultivation method had helped him cultivate the 7-fold waves to the greater mastery stage. He was not far from the perfect stage. During the 2 days of the waterway, Yang Wu did not just sit on the silver-patterned turtle. From time to time, he would also dive into the water to cultivate and feel the turbulent river. He felt that this would help him cultivate the 7-fold waves more realistically. In addition, he was also searching for some herbs that grew at the bottom of the water. As an alchemist, no matter what herbs were in his hands, they would be of great use. He could not waste them. Furthermore, he had 1,500 people to support. No matter how many herbs he had, there would not be enough. Unknowingly, they had finally arrived at the Ice Wolf Valley again. The iceberg had not changed at all. It was still cold, and the thick layer of ice did not feel like it was about to melt. The ice in other places was slowly melting. The overall temperature was much lower than other places. This was where the Ice Wolf clan lived. Now, the ice wolves were still very active. Once it was summer, they would approach the iceberg that had not melted for 1,000 years. They hated summer, and their combat strength would weaken at that time. After Yang Wu and company arrived, he took out the wolf fang that the Ice Wolf Patriarch had given him. The wolf fang emitted a demonic aura, and it was the most familiar scent of the Ice Wolf clan. A wolf. The scene of tens of thousands of wolves howling appeared again as ice wolves walked out from the darkness. They were not warning the enemy, but cheering and welcoming cries. It was the cries of the Ice Wolf clan welcoming distinguished guests. A mighty Ice Wolf King rushed out and shouted, "Welcome, our esteemed guest." Yang Wu cupped his hands towards the Ice Wolf King and said, "Excuse me, I'd like to see your clan leader. Please follow me." The mighty Ice Wolf King responded and took the initiative to lead the way. Yang Wu brought Meng Bingxue with him. The silver-patterned turtle stayed in the water. It preferred water to land. Meng Bingxue stopped and looked at the iceberg. Her beautiful eyes flashed with an indescribable emotion. She looked sad. Yang Wu gently held her hand and said, "Don't think about it. It's all over now. I'm here." For some reason, Yang Wu felt closer and closer to Meng Bingxue. He already saw her as a woman worth protecting. Perhaps it was because of that fragmented memory. Yang Wu arrived in front of the Ice Wolf clan leader's cave. Before he could enter, he saw little Hay running back and forth in front of the cave. She kept grabbing snowballs and throwing them at a fire cloud tiger. The fire cloud tiger dodged left and right, having a lot of fun. Seeing this, Yang Wu smiled. "Little Hay, you're finally better." Woof woof. After Little Hay saw Yang Wu, she barked a few times and quickly ran towards Yang Wu. In the blink of an eye, Little Hay was already on Yang Wu's shoulder. It was a familiar feeling that he hadn't felt in a long time. It was very comfortable. Yang Wu patted Little Hay's head and said, "Little Hay, are you all right?" Woof woof. What could happen to this immortal emperor? "I'm fine," Little Hay replied happily. After a pause, she said, "Little Wu, I didn't expect your strength to improve so much." Little Hay was still the same Little Hay. She was very close to Yang Wu, but she didn't forget to show off her status. "Don't call me Little Hay, you Little Hay," Yang Wu said unhappily. He then asked, "Is there anything wrong?" "What could there be? I just lost a bit of my immortal power. I'll be fine after resting for a while." Little Hay's eyes revealed a trace of sadness. "It seems like the situation isn't too good," Yang Wu asked with a frown. "It's already very good that I can communicate with you using my divine sense. Don't ask for too much. Just focus on improving your strength and quickly improve. Perhaps I'll be able to recover." Little Hay replied optimistically, "That's good. I'm now a real medicine king. What can I do to help you?" Yang Wu said with a trace of pride. "What's a medicine king? It's just a low-level alchemist. Is it worth being so proud of?" Little Hay mercilessly attacked Yang Wu. "No way. I've already reached this level, but I'm still a low-level alchemist? Don't just talk nonsense," Yang Wu said in disbelief. He was now a very popular person. He couldn't accept the fact that he was still a low-level alchemist. "I've only taught you the basics of alchemy. Do you know what the basics are? It's the introductory section. If you're not a low-level alchemist, then what are you?" Little Hay rolled its eyes and said with disdain. This time, Yang Wu felt very sad. "You don't have to be so dejected. To be able to master the basics in such a short time, you can be considered to have some talent. Once I recover, I'll teach you the real alchemy section. Then you'll understand how vast the art of alchemy is." Little Hay still had some conscience. After a pause, it said, "Now is just the right time. You can refine a demonic king pill for that lowly bone and help it break through to the demonic king realm. Consider it a reward for it. It must have been hard for it to stay here and accompany me. No problem. Yang Wu softly replied. The fire cloud tiger hurriedly rushed over and said gratefully, "Thank you, master. No need to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank Little Hay." Yang Wu waved his hand. Then he asked, "Where's the Ice Wolf tribe leader? I still need to thank it in person." "Little friend of the human race, I'm here." The Ice Wolf tribe leader's voice rang out from within the cave. Then it appeared in front of the cave. It had taken human form. It was a tall, middle-aged, white-haired old man. There were still some remnants of the demon race's characteristics on its body. "Thank you, Ice Wolf tribe leader, for taking care of Little Hay," Yang Wu said gratefully. The Ice Wolf tribe leader hurriedly said, "You can't do that. It's our wolf tribe's little ancestor. It's my honor to be able to take care of it." Upon hearing this, Yang Wu couldn't help but admire Little Hay's ability to trick people. It was clearly a dog, but it had actually become the wolf tribe's ancestor. Could it be that the Ice Wolf tribe leader was blind? What kind of look is that? This immortal emperor's bloodline is noble. How can a mere mortal like you understand it? Little Hay glared at Yang Wu unhappily as it spoke. All right. Whatever you say is right." Yang Wu didn't want to argue with Little Hay. After all, Little Hay had just recovered from its injuries, so he had to give it some face. The Ice Wolf tribe leader led Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue into the cave. There was a top-quality earth spirit spring here, as well as king medicines. The Xian Qi of heaven and earth was incomparably dense. The Ice Wolf tribe leader had his subordinates offer up some spirit fruits and spirit spring water to entertain Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue. Little Hay didn't stand on ceremony with the Ice Wolf tribe leader and wolfed down the spirit spring water. The fire cloud tiger, who was lying on the ground, didn't dare to move. Yang Wu didn't stand on ceremony either. He gave an ice spirit fruit to Meng Bingxue and slowly chewed on one for himself. The ice spirit fruit's power was extraordinary, but to him, who had reached the Earthsea realm, it wasn't that obvious. It was just like absorbing Xian spirit stones, becoming a small part of his power. After eating the spirit fruits and spirit spring water, Yang Wu planned to refine the demonic king pill for the fire cloud tiger. Little Hay naturally wanted to see what level Yang Wu's alchemy skills had reached. She asked the Ice Wolf tribe leader to find a place for Yang Wu to refine pills. The Ice Wolf tribe leader naturally let Yang Wu refine pills in his cave. There was no safer place than here. "Little Hay, I think I'm missing some herbs with fire energy." Just as he was about to start refining pills, Yang Wu remembered that he didn't have enough herbs to refine the demonic king pill. Little Hay didn't say anything else and spat out a pile of herbs. "Take them. I didn't let cheap bones stay idle during this time." These are all the herbs he brought back. However, he's still missing a fire demonic core. This guy can't even kill a demonic king. He's too weak. The fire cloud tiger said with a sorrowful expression, "Great immortal emperor, the opponent is a firebird king. It flies in the sky. I can't yell at it. If you're useless, then you're useless. What's there to argue about?" Little Hay snapped. The fire cloud tiger could only droop its head and stop talking. Everything it said was wrong. Who told it to be the weakest? "I do have a fire demonic core. I can start refining pills now." Yang Wu took out a fire demonic core and said, "This fire demonic core was given to him by the Rose of Death. It was her reward for refining the Earth King pill for her." Immediately afterwards, Yang Wu began to refine pills. The refinement of the demonic king pellet was not that particular. It was much easier than refining the Earth King pellet. One only needed to fuse the essence of many herbs and the energy of the demonic king pellet together to form the pellet. Yang Wu's divine court Dao flower flashed. Many herbs continuously flew into the bronze cauldron. The blue demoness heart flame moved without any wind and burned on the cauldron. Stalk after stalk of herb essence were roasted out. Yang Wu's expression was calm, and his movements were light. He had the demeanor of a great master, as expected of a medicine king. Little Hay muttered in her heart, "This brat is born to refine pills." If the three pure ones saw him, they would probably kneel down and take him in as a disciple. Little Hay thought that Yang Wu's pill refining ability was only at the level where he could barely refine a normal king pill. Now it seemed that he had reached the level of a top-tier king pill. Yang Wu had watched Little Hay refine pills many times. His divine court Dao flower had already deeply imprinted his pill refining method. His spiritual force was also incomparably dense. With the help of the heart flame, there was no need to talk about his talent. He could easily refine pills by relying on his instincts. He already had the confidence in this aspect. This was the demeanor of a great master. Chapter 262. As waves of medicinal fragrance wafted out, the 4 demonic king pills were easily refined. These demonic king pills were only at the level of ordinary pill kings, so they were not able to attract pill tribulation. However, the fact that Yang Wu was able to refine 4 pill kings in a single cauldron was enough to show how stable and experienced his alchemy skills were. The fire cloud tiger looked at the 4 demonic king pills and cried out in excitement. It wanted nothing more than to immediately snatch them over and devour them. Little Hay laid on its head and lightly patted it on the head with its front paw. "What's the rush? If it's yours, it won't run away." It then said to Yang Wu, "Your alchemy skills are SOSO. When you can refine low-level pills and attract pill tribulation, your alchemy skills will have reached a higher level." Yang Wu took out the 4 demonic king pills and said with a smile, "Half a month ago, when I refined a cauldron of Earth King pills, I attracted pill tribulation and was almost struck to death." "What? You can already attract pill tribulation?" Little Hay cried out. "Of course. This captain's alchemy skills are innate. Hurry up and teach me your high-level alchemy skills. I can comprehend them in a matter of minutes." Yang Wu saw Little Hay's shock and finally smiled proudly. "Don't be so proud. You were just lucky," Little Hay said stubbornly. After a pause, it said, "The next time you refine a pill king, try to attract pill tribulation. This will be beneficial to both you and me." "Being struck by lightning can be beneficial? Are you trying to trick me?" Yang Wu said with a look of disbelief. "What do you know? Not only can the pill tribulation increase the medicinal effects of the pill, it can also increase the power of heaven's might. It can also use the power of heaven's lightning to temper the body, creating the supreme yang power of the immortal body." Blackie said solemnly, "There are so many benefits." Yang Wu sighed. "Of course. However, you have to make some preparations. Otherwise, even if the pill tribulation comes, it will be a waste." "What kind of preparations do I need to make?" "You need to learn the lightning tempering technique. Even though you already have a pure and spotless body, you are still far from a true immortal body. With the lightning tempering technique, you will be like a fish in water. Only then can you face pill tribulation. Then hurry up and teach me. There's a problem with my body. When the next pill tribulation comes, let me help you block it. Maybe I can speed up my recovery and pass it to you then." "Why does it sound like you pill tribulation?" The fire cloud tiger was already extremely anxious, but when it saw Yang Wu and Blackie staring at each other, it was on the verge of tears. It cried out in its heart, "My elixir, can I eat it now?" There was a huge gap between a demon general and a demon king. After crossing it, one would be able to see the boundless sea and sky. If one couldn't cross it, one would slowly die of old age. The Demon King Pill Tribulation Technique. Fire Cloud Tiger couldn't wait to become a true Tiger King. Yang Wu and Little Hay struggled for a while. Then he took out a Demon King Pill and tossed it to the Demon King Pill Tribulation Technique. "This is for you. Be a good mount in the future. Remember to work hard. I don't keep sick cats by my side." "Yes, Master," the Demon King Pill Tribulation Technique said excitedly. The effects of the Demon King Pill quickly spread throughout its body. It roared and rushed out of the Ice Wolf Patriarch's cave. It wanted to find a place to break through. The Ice Wolf Patriarch said in a hopeful tone, "Young Master Yang, can you refine some Demon King pills for my Ice Wolf clan?" Actually, there were almighty demons in the Spirit Demon clan who could refine pills. However, there were very few of them. Every one of them was a top-notch spirit demon in the Spirit Demon clan. They were extremely intelligent. The Ice Wolf Patriarch didn't have a right to come into contact with such top-notch existences. It didn't know that Yongwu was an alchemist. Now that it knew, it didn't want to let him go. It had to ask for a few Demon King pills for its Ice Wolf clan to help its children reach a higher level. Only then could it increase the Ice Wolf clan's strength and have a greater say in the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range. No problem. You have to prepare the herbs yourselves. I don't have any. Yongwu spread his hands. Thank you, young Master Yang. We will prepare the herbs, the Ice Wolf Patriarch said gratefully. Don't be so quick to thank me. I also have something to ask of you. Yongwu waved his hand. What is it? Just say it. As long as I can do it, I will do it. The Ice Wolf Patriarch said with certainty. Even if Yongwu didn't refine pills for them, it had to agree to Yongwu's request because of Little Hay. Accompany me to the barbarian race's territory. Yongwu revealed the true purpose of his trip. Is it the human territory on the other side of the mountain range? That's right. Can I? I'm afraid it's a little difficult. There's a heavenly phenomenon over there whose cultivation level isn't weaker than mine. It's the guardian spirit demon of the barbarian race. If I enter their territory, it will be seen as a provocation, the Ice Wolf Patriarch replied. There's such an existence in the barbarian race. Yongwu said in surprise. Then he smiled bitterly and said, It seems that I've underestimated the situation. Little Wu, what are you going to do? Little Hay asked. I'm going to negotiate with the barbarian race. I want to use their power to help me return to the royal city openly. Yongwu replied. Are you going to find the Ice Wolf Patriarch to help you? Little Hay asked again. I was going to find the heavenly demon turtle from before. Unfortunately, it seems that I don't have enough helpers. Yongwu revealed his plan. He wanted to find 1 or 2 heavenly demons to accompany him to the barbarian race. He didn't want to destroy the barbarian race, but he wanted to negotiate with the barbarian race and reach an agreement to help him return to the royal city. Now that he heard the Ice Wolf Patriarch say that there was a heavenly demon elephant in the barbarian race, he would be like a lamb in a tiger's den if he went there. He might even be killed. He vaguely remembered that there were powerful barbarian race experts hidden on the battlefield. They might be existences in the heavenly fish realm. This also proved that the barbarian race had at least 2 heavenly realm experts. He had no advantage at all. Ice Death, you don't have 1 or 2 friends in the Ice Wolf clan. Call them all over. This ancestor will take them out to play, Little Hay said to the Ice Wolf Patriarch. The Ice Wolf Patriarch thought for a moment and said, I do, but it's not easy to get them to come. If the little ancestor comes, they will definitely obey. Ice Death could feel that Little Hay's bloodline power was greatly suppressing it. It felt that Little Hay was the ancestor of the Ice Wolf clan. The other wolf demons would probably agree with it. Without waiting for Little Hay to reply, Yongwu said, Do their clans need demonic king pills? If they do, we can talk about it. Ice Death immediately nodded and said, Every clan needs demonic king pills. I'll go talk to them now. I'll be back in 1 or 2 days. At most, it'll be 3 to 5 days. Please wait for me, old ancestor and young Master Yang. Don't rush. Tell your subordinates to prepare the ingredients for me. Otherwise, it won't be easy to make pills for you. Yongwu said, All right. Ice Death responded and walked out of the cave to tell the other wolf kings to gather the ingredients. I didn't think that the identity of an alchemist would be so useful. Yongwu sighed. When you become a high-level alchemist, you'll understand even more. Little Hay replied. Following Ice Death's orders to the wolf kings to gather the ingredients, the tens of thousands of wolves all moved out. They frantically gathered the herbs from the hundreds of nearby mountains. Yongwu didn't have any other requests other than giving them the names of the main 10 or so herbs. As long as it was an old medicine, they would all be given to him. The more, the better. Yongwu also wanted to take this opportunity to get some medicinal herbs so that he could prepare some for himself. The spirit demons lived in this mountain range. This was their territory. It was easy for them to find all kinds of herbs. After a day, the demon wolves brought over stalks of herbs. They quickly piled up into a small mountain. There were all kinds of herbs. There were even some that were useless or rare. Yongwu looked at the pile of herbs and was overjoyed. At the same time, he also found more than a dozen precious spiritual medicines. These more than a dozen spiritual medicines had special effects. Although they were not medicine kings, but their value was not lower than a medicine king. Yang Wu put away these more than a dozen spiritual medicines. These were the main spiritual medicines for refining the profound, congealing pill and the Earth King pill. With these herbs, Yang Wu could start refining pills. As for the demon cores, the Wolf clan did not lack them. In the past, when their clan members died, there were still some demon cores left behind, which came in handy. The demon cores they left behind were originally for the Ice Wolf clan to continue their strong competitiveness, rather than letting them be buried in the ground and wasted. This was the difference between the demon race and the human race. 2 days later, Yang Wu had refined a total of 4 batches of Yao King Dawn, obtaining 22 Yao King Dawn. Of these 22 Demon King pills, Yang Wu did not intend to give all of them to the Ice Demon race. He still wanted to keep a few for himself in case of emergencies. At this time, Bing Shang returned. Along with her were 2 transformed heavenly demons. They were the Black Wild Wolf and the 3-eyed Blue Wolf. Both of them were existences of the heavenly demon realm. Their bodies exuded a strong heavenly demon chi, causing the wolf demons of the Ice Wolf clan to tremble and lie down. Bing Shang, where's our little ancestor? I want to see if he can really suppress our bloodline like you said. The Black Wild Wolf said faintly. It transformed into a black charcoal-like man. His wolf hair fluttered in the wind, and his wolf eyes were wild. He had the body of a wild wolf, and his demon chi was stronger than Bing Shang's. The 3-eyed Blue Wolf's demon chi was weaker than Bing Shang's. However, the 3rd eye of the demon beast exuded a strong sense of threat. If they really wanted to fight, it might not be worse than Bing Shang and the Black Wild Wolf. I also want to see if there's a bloodline user who can suppress us in our mountain range. The 3-eyed Blue Wolf said in a sharp voice. They ignored Yang Wu and the many Ice Wolf Kings below. They kept trying to sense the whereabouts of the little ancestor that Bing Shang had mentioned. Woof woof, you 2 little wolves, hurry up and kneel before this celestial emperor. A gentle barking suddenly rang out. The Black Wild Wolf and the 3-eyed Blue Wolf instantly felt their bloodline being suppressed. Their blood chi stopped circulating, and their strength decreased sharply. Their bodies wobbled as they fell from the sky. Chapter 263. The Black Wild Wolf and the 3-eyed Cyan Wolf were both high and mighty heavenly beasts. They were the kings of the Wolf Smoke mountain range. They had never encountered a situation like this before. Their powers suddenly went out of control, causing them to panic. Only Icy Death was unaffected. Little Hay's bloodline suppression was not directed at it. It looked at the falling Black Wild Wolf and the 3-eyed Cyan Wolf and sighed softly. I told you it was your little ancestor, but you didn't believe me. You just had to suffer. The Black Wild Wolf and the 3-eyed Cyan Wolf fell to the ground in a sorry state. Fortunately, their skin was thick and their flesh was thick, so they were not injured. However, they felt an innate fear. It was as if they had encountered a superior being that was stronger than them. Moreover, it was of the same bloodline as them. It was so oppressive that they could not breathe. Little ancestor, please let them go. Icy Death landed beside Little Hay and said respectfully. The Black Wild Wolf and the 3-eyed Cyan Wolf were stunned. This little hay dog in front of them was their little ancestor. The world had not changed, had it? I think they don't take me seriously. Little Hay glared at the 2 heavenly beasts and snorted coldly. It had lost all of its powers. It could not refine pills or use the true Samadhi fire. However, it could still use its bloodline power. Wolves and dogs were of the same bloodline. Its bloodline was extremely noble. It could easily suppress them. The 2 heavenly beasts once again felt the boundless suppression of their bloodline power. They could not move their bodies. They had to admit that this little hay dog really was their little ancestor. Little ancestor, please let us go. The 2 heavenly beasts said in unison. Recognize this ancestor. Don't think that you could be a king just because you have a little bit of power. You're still far from being ancestor. Little Hay walked in front of them and said proudly, Yes, little ancestor is right. The two heavenly beasts agreed. Get up, little Hay said as it removed its bloodline suppression. Sure enough, as soon as the pressure on their bodies lessened, their blood began to circulate smoothly again, and they could regain their freedom. They no longer dared to put on airs as heavenly monsters. Instead, their faces were filled with respect as they spoke flattering words to little Hay. Little Hay pointed its front paw at Yangwu and said, "All right, don't say such mushy words. It's not the little ancestor who's looking for you. It's little Wu who's looking for you. Don't embarrass the little ancestor." "Yes, little ancestor. We definitely won't embarrass you," the two heavenly demons said. Yangwu was already used to little Hay's abilities. Meeting little Hay was his greatest fortune. Yangwu handed a dozen demonic king pills to Bing Shang and said, "These are the demonic king pills I refined in the past 2 days. Take them and use them first." "Many thanks, young Master Yang," Bing Shang said gratefully as if it had received a treasure. A dozen or so demonic king pills to the Ice Wolf clan was definitely a timely gift. It could greatly increase the strength of the Ice Wolf clan, and their status in the Wolf clan would rise greatly. "No need to thank me. This is what you deserve." Yang Wu waved his hand and said. At this moment, the Black Wild Wolf and the Three-Eyed Green Wolf walked over. They had already heard the words demonic king pills, and their eyes were filled with desire. "Come, young Master Yang, let me introduce you. This is the Black Wild Wolf clan's chief, Black Baron. This is the Green Wolf clan's chief, Qing Li Jie. This is young Master Yang, the little ancestors." Bing Shang introduced them to each other. When it was introducing Yang Wu, little Hay interrupted it and said, "This ancestor's human pet." With that, it even jumped onto Yang Wu's shoulder. Yang Wu mercilessly punched little Hay, sending it flying, and said, "Your little ancestor is my spirit pet." The two sky demons saw Yang Wu hit their little ancestor and immediately revealed ferocious expressions. It seemed like they wanted to tear Yang Wu apart alive. However, little Hay quickly said, "Little Wu Zi, you dare hit this immortal emperor? This immortal emperor will fight it out with you." Little Hay wanted to bite Yang Wu's, but it was directly grabbed by Yang Wu and said, "Little Hay, don't mess around. Be good, or your two grandsons will tear me apart." Right now, little Hay had lost all of its strength and couldn't resist Yang Wu. It could only compromise and said to the three sky demons, "Listen well, you can see little Wu Zi like you see me. We are actually brothers." "Who's your brother?" "I'm not a dog," Yang Wu retorted. "Little Wu Zi, that's enough. Being this immortal emperor's brother is a blessing that others can only dream of. All right, I'll be your brother. I won't be a dog. Little Wu Zi, I'll bite you to death." Black Baron and Qing Li Jie's eyes were opened. Their little ancestor was actually being trampled by a small human. They were completely shocked by this human. After Yang Wu and little Hay messed around for a while, he looked at the two sky demon wolves and said, "Hello, I am Yang Wu. I was the one who asked tribe leader Bing Shang to invite you two to help. I plan on making a trip to the barbarian tribe and have you two be my guards. Afterwards, I can refine some demonic king pills for you two. What do you two think?" "We are willing to listen to young Master Yang's orders," the two sky demons replied. They were the elders of their tribes. To be able to bring back demonic king pills for the juniors was something they would be proud of. At the same time, it could increase their tribe's battle strength. So how could they refuse? "All right, then we'll head to the barbarian tribe," Yang Wu impatiently said. "Let's go. I also want to see if the ancient barbarian tribe has any good seedlings other than Little Man," Little Hay excitedly said. "Little Hay, Little Man is dead." Yang Wu thought of Little Man and said with incomparable sadness. Little Hay said, "Relax, that girl's life is very strong. She won't die that easily." Su Xiaoqiang personally said that he killed Little Man. How could this be false? That little brat is full of nonsense. Little Man isn't dead at all. I left my aura on her body, so if she died, I would be able to sense it. "What? Little Hay, you're not lying to me," Yang Wu said in a shocked voice. "Why would I lie to you?" Little Hay replied very seriously. "Great. Why didn't you say so earlier? You made me so sad. Where is she now?" Yang Wu said excitedly. She should be fine, but she's already far away from here. She should be isolated by some kind of power. Wait until I recover my strength, then we'll go look for her together. Little Hay said, All right, as long as she's not dead, then it's fine. Let's go to the barbarian tribe, Yang Wu said with a relieved heart. Yang Wu, Meng Bingxue, Little Hay, and the 3 sky demon wolves headed towards the barbarian tribe. The silver-patterned turtle and the fire cloud tiger were left behind. With their current strength, they wouldn't be able to help. They would only be a burden. On the way, Yang Wu couldn't help but mention Meng Bingxue's problem. After Little Hay heard it, it couldn't do anything for now. Everything would have to wait until it recovered its strength. At the same time, it also told Yang Wu to gather some heavenly medicines to refine a soul-replenishing heavenly pill to help Meng Bingxue recover. Little Hay was very interested in Meng Bingxue's physique. It felt that her physique should be some kind of martial physique. Unfortunately, it had lost its strength, so it couldn't see through her physique. It could only remind Yang Wu to take her in. She would be a great help in the future. Yang Wu rolled his eyes at Little Hay as if to say, Little pervert. Little Hay couldn't help but fight with Yang Wu again. When they passed by many mountain ridges, many spirit demons were so scared that they didn't dare to move. At the same time, they also alerted the sky demons who were cultivating in seclusion. They all let out warning cries. Fortunately, this was the Wolf Smoke mountain range. Most of the sky demon wolves were acquainted with Bing Shang, Black Baron, and Qing Li Jie. After a few cries, they all quieted down. The wolf tribe was incomparably huge. They were divided into different tribes. They had always minded their own business. Bing Shang and the other 2 sky demons were considered to have crossed the border. If the 3 sky demons didn't gather together, the other sky demons who were cultivating in seclusion would come out and fight with them. This was the rule of the wolf tribe. Yang Wu's horizons were broadened. He just realized that there were so many terrifying spirit demons in this mountain range. If they attacked the human tribe, would the human tribe be able to withstand it? However, when he thought about the human tribe and the nation protectors, he guessed that there would be many experts. This was one of the reasons why the spirit demons didn't dare to act rashly. After half a day, the 3 sky demons finally arrived at the waterfall pool that Yang Wu had pointed out. This was the sky demon turtle's territory. Yang Wu felt that it would be safer to bring it along. The 3 sky demon wolves landed. Their powerful demonic chi suppressed the surrounding spirit demons, but the surrounding spirit demons didn't dare to move. Yang Wu, Meng Bingxue, and Little Hay jumped off the wolf's back. He said to Little Hay, hurry up and call that old turtle out. Do you need me to do such a small thing? Hurry up and blow up this pool. That old turtle will come out. Little Hay said to the 3 sky demon wolves. Yes, little ancestor. The 3 sky demon wolves replied. Just as they were about to attack, the water in the pool began to swirl. A huge old turtle floated up from the water and said anxiously, Immortal Emperor, the old turtle has come out. Don't be rough. There were burn marks on the old turtle's back. They were left behind by Little Hay's true samadhi fire. There was no way to recover them. At least you know what's good for you. I thought you were still going to hide at the bottom of the pool and not come out. Little Hay sneered. This old turtle doesn't have the guts to do that. The old turtle replied with incomparable sadness. It had tasted Little Hay's true samadhi fire. It didn't want to experience it again. It had almost been roasted. It was an unforgettable memory. Moreover, there were 3 sky demon wolves in front of it. The old turtle didn't have the slightest ability to resist. However, it didn't understand why they were here. Old turtle, I need your help. Come with me to the barbarian tribe. Yang Wu went straight to the point. The barbarian tribe? You can't go there. The old turtle hurriedly replied after hearing this. With them around, do you still need to be afraid of the sky demon elephant? Yang Wu pointed at the 3 sky demon wolves and said, The scariest thing isn't the sky demon elephant. It's the barbarian tribe's ancestral curse. Chapter 264. The barbarian race's ancestral curse. What a terrible word that sounded like. Yang Wu felt his hair stand on end. What's going on? When I was young, I went to the barbarian race's territory in search of some king medicines. I happened to encounter something strange. I saw a top-tier heavenly Yao being obliterated by the barbarian race's ancestral curse. I was so scared that I quickly retreated into the pond to cultivate. I didn't dare to go to the barbarian race's territory again, the old turtle said with a reminiscing expression. Even a top-tier heavenly Yao had been obliterated. It was clear how terrifying the barbarian race's ancestral curse was. The other 3 heavenly Yao wolves all revealed serious expressions. They looked at Little Hay. It was up to Little Hay to make the decision. What did the ancestral curse look like? Little Hay asked the old turtle. The old turtle thought for a moment and said, the ancestral curse was an ancient barbarian. It seemed to be protecting the barbarian race's territory. The top-tier heavenly Yao wanted to destroy the barbarian race, but the ancient barbarian appeared and beat the heavenly Yao into a bloody pulp with a bone club. It was terrifying. Did the barbarian have a circle of skulls around his neck? His upper body was naked, and his lower body was only wrapped in bee skin? Little Hay asked. Yes, that's right. The old turtle nodded. What barbarian race's ancestral curse? That's the barbarian race's guardian, the projection of the ancient barbarian race's ancestor, Chi-Yu. Little Hay looked at the old turtle with disdain. After a pause, she muttered to herself, I didn't think that Chi-Yu would be protecting this place. Interesting. Little Hay, what is Chi-Yu? Yang Wu asked. It's an ancient demon god. It's too far away for you. Telling you now will only affect your state of mind. Let's go, Little Hay replied. Little ancestor, the barbarian race's ancestral curse. Bing Shang asked nervously. What are you afraid of? We're not going to destroy the barbarian race. That guy's projection won't appear so casually. If it could appear so casually, the barbarian race would be able to dominate this world. Little Hay said fearlessly. Then added, besides, with this immortal emperor here, it won't be able to cause any trouble. If the little ancestor says so, then what do we have to be afraid of? Black Baron flattered. Qing Lijia agreed. That's right. We will follow the little ancestor. Yang Wu couldn't help but admire Little Hay's ability to sway others. With just a few words, she was able to make these 3 heavenly demons follow her lead. He still had a lot to learn. How could the 1,000-year-old tortoise have any room to object? It could only obediently follow along. Yang Wu sat on Old Tortoise's back and said, Don't worry, Old Tortoise. Don't worry, I'll give you a large piece of heavenly ice flood dragon meat as compensation. Old Turtle's eyes lit up as he asked, Really? Why would I lie to you? However, you need to give me a few more drops of essence blood. I have a little tortoise that's still growing. I need money to feed it, Yang Wu said seriously. Old Tortoise immediately shrank back and said, Young Master Yang, you're trying to take Old Tortoise's life. I still haven't recovered from the burns from the immortal emperor. Before it could finish speaking, Yang Wu interrupted it and said, Then do you want to be injured again? No. Old Tortoise. I'll give, okay? Old Tortoise was about to cry from fear. It didn't want to go through that again. That's not bad, Yang Wu said with satisfaction. They weren't far from the barbarians. In less than an hour, they appeared in the sky above the barbarians' territory. Looking down from here, they could see many barbarians moving around. In the distance, there was a vast and boundless grassland. There were countless elephant demons, bull demons, and horse demons. There were also barbarian tents. These tents were very large, like castles. They were several times larger than the tents of the Great Xia. This was only where the barbarian army was stationed. Their tribe wasn't here, but in the grassland further away. Little Wu, are we going to kill them just like that? Little Hay asked Yang Wu. What else do you want to do? Yang Wu spread his hands and said, Woof woof, violent and simple. I like it. The wolves flew towards them. Little Hay called out cheerfully. She looked as if she wanted to see the world in chaos. We'll make sure the little ancestor is satisfied. Oh, woo. Black Baron called out excitedly. Bing Shang and Qing Li Jie roared at the same time. Their terrifying demonic aura swept out like a storm. Old Tortoise was carrying Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue on his back. He was much more low-key. His eyes kept flashing as if he was observing whether the barbarian ancestral curse would suddenly appear. It was obvious that the scene he saw before had left a deep impression on him. When the heavenly demons released their terrifying demonic aura, the spirit demons in the barbarian army were all frightened. Woof woof, ba-ba. Many mounts neighed uneasily and fell to the ground. The barbarian soldiers on their mounts fell to the ground. The barbarian army was instantly in chaos. What's wrong with the mounts? Is there an enemy attack? There's a terrifying demonic aura. There's a big demon coming. Everyone, get ready to defend. Look at the sky. There's a wolf demon attacking. Could it be that they've publicly broken the agreement of not attacking our clan? Report to General Shur. They might be top demon kings. No, they might be heavenly demons. The barbarian army was in chaos. They were born warriors. Even in the face of death, they wouldn't panic easily. Now that a few heavenly demons suddenly appeared, they were really frightened. They weren't afraid of death. They were afraid that their homes would be attacked. They still had their wives and children. What if they were eaten by these heavenly demons? Sure, Shafong rushed out of the tent with a few barbarian kings. Sure, Shafong was the general of the barbarian army. The others weren't weak either. They were all barbarian kings. However, when they felt the demonic aura, they all became very serious. Why are the wolf demons barging into our territory? What are they doing? Sure, Shafong said worriedly. Then he roared to the sky. Lords of the wolf tribe, what are you doing? Do you want to start a war with our tribe? Another barbarian king shouted. Everyone, prepare for war. They released their king's aura to boost their morale. They couldn't afford to be weak at this moment. Unfortunately, their strength was just a drop in the bucket in front of the sky demon. Even if there were nearly 100,000 barbarian soldiers stationed here, they couldn't muster enough strength to resist the absolute power of the sky demon. The heavenly demons in the sky slowly descended, putting more pressure on the barbarian demons. They kept hissing, unable to resist. General Shur, I trust you have been well since we last met. Yang Wu quietly walked out from the turtle shell and looked down at Shur Shafong as he greeted him. When Shur Shafong saw Yang Wu, he cried out in surprise as if he had seen a ghost. It's you. Yang Wu touched his nose and said with a smile, It's me, isn't it? You. What are you trying to do? Do you really think that we barbarians are pushovers? How dare you barge into our territory? Shur Shafong said with a trembling voice. Half a year ago, he had been robbed by Yang Wu and this old turtle. They had even captured their princess Mingyu and Huang Fu Taiging, forcing their patriarch to bring a large amount of compensation before settling the matter. All along, he felt that Yang Wu might be someone from a transcendent power. However, when the two armies were engaged in an intense battle, Yang Wu suddenly appeared. Only then did he confirm that Yang Wu was someone from Great Xia. Furthermore, Yang Wu had killed Shur Kai-lei, who was on par with him in terms of martial prowess. This left a huge shadow in his heart. Now, he was afraid of Yang Wu. Yang Wu and his group slowly descended. The nearly 100,000 barbarian soldiers surrounded them layer by layer. Their legs were weak, and it was difficult for them to withstand that aura. However, they still relied on their fearless spirit to support themselves. Just based on this point alone, they were more valiant than the Great Xia army. I know that you barbarians aren't pushovers. However, do you think that I and these Heaven Demon seniors are pushovers? Yang Wu asked as he looked at Shur Shafong calmly with his arms crossed in front of his chest. Heaven Demon. These two words were like a mountain that knocked heavily on the bottom of the hearts of all the barbarians, making it difficult for them to breathe. Generally, only those extraordinary forces would have beings of this level. However, there were as many as 4 of them in front of them at the same time. This was simply too frightening. Shur Shafong swallowed his saliva and didn't know how to answer. At this moment, a figure quietly appeared in front of Shur Shafong and his group and said faintly, Young friend, do you really think that we barbarians have no one? The person who came was an old barbarian. He was much taller than the other barbarians. However, it was a pity that he already looked senile. The wrinkles on his face were as dry and old as the bark of an old tree. It was obvious that he wasn't young. He only had a beast robe on his body. His clothes were very simple. There wasn't much difference between him and a primitive man. However, the aura on his body was above that of a king. He was a super expert of the heavenly fish realm. Greetings, Guardian Elder. Sir Shafong and the other barbarian kings kneeled down and greeted the old barbarian as soon as they saw him. The other barbarians also knelt down when they saw this. The tense expressions on their faces relaxed. Things would be much easier now that such a big figure had appeared. Everyone returned to your original positions. The Guardian Elder waved his hand at the soldiers and said, just like this, the soldiers dispersed in an orderly manner like a tide and returned to their original positions. Only Sir Shafong and the other kings stayed behind. It seems that you are the one in charge here. Old Turtle, go and take him down. Yang Wu ordered the 1,000-year-old turtle. This is not good. The 1,000-year-old turtle was still nervous about the ancestral curse of the barbarians. He didn't dare to make a move. Let me do it, Meng Bingxue whispered to Yang Wu and flew out after that. Yang Wu couldn't sense Meng Bingxue's movements at all. However, he found that she had already arrived in front of the Guardian Elder and lightly patted his chest with her white hand. Bang! Chapter 265. The Guardian Elder of the Barbarian Tribe was a genuine heavenly fish cultivator. However, he was only at the initial stage of the heavenly fish level. Because his blood chi had started to weaken, it was extremely difficult for him to break through. Even so, he was still one of the strongest cultivators in the mortal world. With him around, the barbarian tribe was like a stabilizing force. They didn't have to worry about being invaded by the Xia Kingdom. However, today he suffered. That cold and delicate woman suddenly attacked him. He didn't even have a chance to react. He was slapped away like a fly. Yang Wu was stunned. Sir Shafong and the others were also completely dumbfounded. This sudden change made them unable to imagine that the ending would be like this. Yang Wu knew that Meng Bingxue was a heavenly fish-level cultivator, but he didn't know which level she was at. The Guardian Elder of the Barbarian Tribe seemed to be very strong. He didn't even put the sky beasts in his eyes. However, he was slapped away by Meng Bingxue in one move. He wasn't ready to cheer for the victory yet. Sure Shafong and the others thought that the Guardian Elder was a lifesaver. They also believed that with him, they would be fine. However, this lifesaver was destroyed in the blink of an eye. They didn't have time to react at all. Guardian Elder! They all came back to their senses and shouted at the same time. They quickly rushed to the Guardian Elder, who was slapped away. Oh my God, so strong! Yang Wu exclaimed. Kill him. Meng Bingxue calmly turned to Yang Wu and asked. Yang Wu quickly called her back and said, Don't kill him yet. Let me talk to them. If Meng Bingxue killed the Guardian Elder, he wouldn't be able to carry out his plan. After Meng Bingxue's attack, the barbarians should be obedient. Meng Bingxue obediently returned to Yang Wu's side. She didn't have any expression on her face. She was like a cold-blooded assassin. In fact, she was an assassin. It was just that her soul was damaged. That was why she looked like this. Little Wu, it's good to let her stay like this. Little Hay said to Yang Wu through telepathy. I'm not going to do that. Sooner or later, I'll make her recover. Yang Wu objected. Then, he shouted at Old Tortoise. Next time, if you don't do anything when I ask you to, I'll let Little Hay roast you. Yes, there won't be a next time. Old Tortoise hurriedly nodded. The Guardian Elder of the Barbarian Tribe did not die. He was wearing a piece of armor inside his body. The armor had been shattered, but it had also blocked the fatal blow for him. Without the armor, even if he did not die, he would still be half dead. By the time Sir Shafong and the others rushed over, he was already able to stand up again. However, he still couldn't suppress the pain in his throat, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Meng Bingxue's attack was not light at all. Protector Elder, are you all right? Sir Shafong and the others asked worriedly. The Protector Elder waved his hand and said, My old life won't die so easily. Immediately after, he adjusted his breathing and once again walked towards Yang Wu and the others. With a single step, he covered several dozen feet and once again returned to his original position. His face no longer had the arrogance from before and was replaced with a solemn expression as he said, What do you want to do? I'm not the only one in the barbarian tribe who can fight against you. If we really fight, you won't have any advantages. Moreover, The Sacred Flame sect will not allow you to interfere with the affairs of the mortal world. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm only here to make a deal with the barbarian tribe. If you can make the decision, then we'll talk. If you can't, then call your patriarch. Otherwise, I'll destroy all of your troops first before we talk. Yang Wu said calmly. He felt that as long as he showed the barbarian tribe his strength, then everything would be much easier. He really could not think of any way the barbarian tribe could resist. What do you want to talk about? The guardian elder asked in a deep voice. It's a matter of great importance between the two countries. Yang Wu said calmly. The guardian elder pondered for a moment and said, I can't make the decision on this matter. I'll send someone to ask the patriarch to talk to you. All right, Yang Wu, will give you 3 days. If your patriarch doesn't come in 3 days, then don't blame me for giving the order to slaughter your troops. Yang Wu said with a ferocious expression. In order to return to King City, he did not hesitate to take the risk to come to the barbarian tribe. He had to succeed in one fell swoop. He had already thrown caution to the wind. It'll take some time to come and go. Give me 7 days. No, just 3 days. With your speed, 3 days is enough for you to bring them here. All right, then can you retreat from my army first? They've frightened our mounts. All right, we'll return to the mountain range. I hope you don't play any tricks. I came with full sincerity. Yang Wu's group retreated as soon as they said so. They did not make things difficult for the guardian elder. He showed enough sincerity to the other party and did not push his luck. The guardian elder's eyes flashed with a complicated look. He then went back to inform Shafeng and the others. Then, he returned to the tribe's important place at full speed. Profound wings that were several feet long appeared on his body. He flashed in the air and was many times faster than the eagle demon. The barbarian tribe was stationed in the center of the grassland. The water and grass here were fertile. Anyone who came here could see the beautiful scenery of the vast sky, the boundless wilderness, and the cattle and sheep in the wind. The guardian elder of the barbarian tribe landed in front of the largest tent. This place was heavily guarded. When he appeared, many of the guards looked as if they were facing a great enemy. When they saw that it was the guardian elder of the barbarian tribe, they relaxed and saluted him. Report to the patriarch immediately. I have something to discuss with him. The guardian elder of the barbarian tribe said in a deep voice. Before the soldier entered the tent to report, a voice said, Guardian elder, please come in. Didn't I say that you don't need to report if you want to see me? The person in the tent was the current patriarch of the barbarian tribe, Huangfu Zhanxiu. He was sitting cross-legged in front of the bed and cultivating. His mental state was not very good. It was obvious that he was upset because of the failure of the imperial expedition. After the guardian elder entered, he said bluntly, Patriarch, there's a heaven realm expert in the Great Xia. He said that he wants to negotiate with you about the two countries. They sent a heaven realm expert? Huangfu Zhanxiong asked in surprise. Yes, I can't make the decision on this matter. That's why I came back to find you. The guardian elder nodded. Did they send 2 people? Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to force you to come back to find me. Huangfu Zhanxiong guessed. If it's just 2 people, why would I be afraid of them? 2 humans and 4 heavenly demons. The guardian elder said. What? Huangfu Zhanxiong immediately jumped up from the bed and exclaimed. We have to ask the celestial phenomenon guardians to come out. Only then can we have a good talk with them. The guardian elder suggested. Did they send people from the transcendent powers? Didn't they agree not to interfere in our conflict? It was a young man called Yang Wu. I don't know what he's capable of. He has a heaven realm woman by his side. She's even stronger than me. We have to be careful. It's that brat again. Could it be that he's the bane of our tribe? Huangfu Zhanxiong gritted his teeth and said, Does the patriarch know him? The guardian elder asked. Huangfu Zhanxiong sighed and said, The failure this time is related to him. Last time, Mingyu was also captured by him. He even extorted some of his belongings. This brat is so strange. The guardian elder said in surprise. What does he want to do? I don't know what he wants to do either. However, he didn't immediately order those heavenly demons to kill my tribe's Lang heir. It seems that he didn't come here to start a war. Perhaps we can have a good talk. However, We can't let him lead us by the nose. Otherwise, he'll think that there's no one in our barbarian tribe. Yes, let's go ask the celestial phenomenon guardians. With them, everything will be easy. There's no time to lose. Let's go now. The two of them hurriedly left the tent and quickly headed towards the largest mountain in the barbarian prairie. Barbarian God Mountain. This was the largest mountain in the barbarian prairie. It was majestic and huge, towering into the clouds. From afar, it looked like a divine mountain. One could only see the mountain under the clouds and not the peak above. This was the symbol of the barbarian prairie. The barbarian tribe would often come here to worship. Every year, they would hold a large-scale ceremony in hopes that the spirit of the divine mountain would bless them. On this divine mountain, other than the chief and the guardian elder, everyone had to walk. No one was allowed to fly. Even a barbarian king would be considered a provocation to the divine mountain and would be punished. After Huangfu Zhanxiong and the guardian elder arrived, they didn't dare to lower their flying altitude. They only dared to slowly head towards the heart of the mountain. The xianxi of heaven and earth here was incomparably dense. It was definitely a blessed land and a good place to cultivate. However, this place was occupied by the elephant tribe. There was a heavenly demon realm barbarian elephant guarding this place. It was said that this barbarian elephant was the guardian spirit of the divine mountain. It protected the spirit of the divine mountain and didn't allow anyone to reach the peak of the divine mountain. Even the forces of the transcendent realm didn't dare to rashly enter this place. It was truly a forbidden area. When Huangfu Zhanxiong and the guardian elder reached a third of the height of the divine mountain, they stopped walking and headed towards the huge cave in the heart of the mountain. There were medicine kings and even heavenly medicines growing in front of this cave. There were even birds flying by from time to time. It was truly a divine place. When the two arrived in front of the cave, they bowed and said in unison, Huangfu Zhanxiong, Huangfu Dalong, requests an audience with the celestial phenomenon guardian. This voice faintly traveled into the cave, and there was no reply for a long time. The two didn't dare to get up and didn't dare to say anything. They just quietly waited. They firmly believed that the celestial phenomenon guardian had heard their request. This Lord already knows about your situation. You two go see them first. This Lord will follow shortly. An extremely loud and faintly discernible voice came from inside the cave. Many thanks to the celestial phenomenon guardian. The two were overjoyed. After deeply bowing again, they turned around and left. After they left for a while, a huge shadow quietly appeared. The divine mountain seemed to be trembling. Many birds flew away from this area and didn't dare to stay any longer. The heavenly wolf dares to invade my prairie territory. Did he eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? Chapter 266. At the border between the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range and the Barbarian Prairie, the grass and trees were the same color, and the spring sun was shining down. It was indeed a good time to go for a walk. On a patch of grass, a young man picked a beautiful wildflower and placed it in the hair of a woman. In an instant, all the other flowers in the area were overshadowed. The young man smiled brightly and praised, Bing Shue, you are so beautiful. The woman did not have any expression on her face, but she responded to Yang Wu with her actions. She also picked a wildflower and placed it in the young man's hair. At this moment, her smile was like a flower. Yang Wu looked at Meng Bingxue and could not help but be stunned. He always knew that Meng Bingxue was really beautiful, but she was always cold, which made her peerless face lose a lot of points. However, after she smiled, her beauty was revealed. Among all the women he knew, no one could compare to her. Even the Rose of Death's temperament was slightly better than hers. Wan Lanxin and Little Man were even more immature. She was like the one and only flower among the flowers. No one could compare to her. Perhaps only slugs can have such a peerless appearance and temperament. Yang Wu sighed in his heart. Not far away, Little Hay was jumping among the flowers. It was actually catching butterflies. The four heavenly demons could only carefully accompany it, not daring to spoil its mood. No matter who saw this scene, they would be greatly shocked. Four heavenly demons were accompanying a puppy to catch butterflies. If this spread out, No one would believe it. At this moment, a powerful aura appeared in the sky. Huangfu Zhanxiong and Huangfu Dalong had quietly appeared. Yang Wu, this chief is here. Huangfu Zhanxiong shouted from far away. Before Yang Wu could respond, Meng Bingxue blocked in front of him with a serious look on her face. At the same time, the four heavenly demons flew into the sky and released their demonic aura. A thick, evil aura was released as if they were facing a great enemy. Oh, roar! The heavenly wolf and old tortoise roared at the same time. They were not looking at Huangfu Zhanxiong and Huangfu Dalong, but at the three figures that appeared behind them. Bingxue, Black Wolf, Three-Eyed Green Wolf, Old Tortoise, you dare to intrude into my tribe's prairie? An earth-shattering voice roared. This voice was like a sudden clap of thunder, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. The barbarian army and their mounts in the distance were once again frightened out of their wits. Barbarian elephant, barbarian bull, barbarian tiger. Bingshue's eyes narrowed. That's even better. Let's get rid of him in one go. Black Baron replied with a powerful aura. Don't be impulsive, don't be impulsive. Let's prioritize harmony, harmony. Old Tortoise persuaded. Behind Huangfu Zhanxiong and Huangfu Dalong were the three transformed heavenly demons. They were the guardian celestial phenomenon of the sacred mountain, as well as the barbarian bull and barbarian tiger. The guardian celestial phenomenon had the most shocking demonic aura. It had transformed into a human with huge eyes, a hook-like nose, ears like fans, and a body like a mountain. The characteristics of a demon elephant were very obvious. Its silver armor flickered, making it look like a heavenly demon divine general. The two heavenly beasts behind it were not ordinary either. The heavenly bull beast had two sharp black horns on its head. Its body was tall and sturdy, and its body was covered in black hair. Its nose was constantly spewing out black mist, making it look very vicious. The other heavenly beast was Barbaric Tiger. It was a female tiger that had transformed into a middle-aged woman. She was wearing human clothes, and her body was so voluptuous that the clothes were about to burst. If one didn't look at her tiger-like face, any man who saw her would go crazy. The guardian celestial phenomenon is here, Huangfu Zhanxiong exclaimed. Yes, the other two guardian celestial phenomenon have also come out. It seems like our crisis can be resolved. On the contrary, they should be worried. Huangfu Dalong said with relief. Before the celestial phenomenon beast arrived, it roared at the heavenly demons. Immediately scram back to your territory, or I will kill you all. It had to be said that this celestial phenomenon beast was very confident. Big brother, why waste time talking with him? We haven't fought in a long time. Let me fight with him first. The barbarian bull roared as it spewed out black mist from its nostrils. Regardless of whether the celestial phenomenon beast agreed or not, it rushed out and threw a punch at the three heavenly wolves and Old Tortoise. This punch was very domineering. Black mist curled around the fist, and the momentum of the punch was like the clouds. In an instant, it had already enveloped the four heavenly demons. This was the real barbarian bull fist. The ultimate techniques of the barbarian tribe were passed down from generation to generation. They were all evolved from these barbarian demons. If you want to play dirty, let me do it. Black Barbarian took the lead and rushed out to meet the barbarian bull's punch with a claw. Wild Wolf rips the sky. The power of Black Barbarian's claw was equally shocking. It was as if it was going to tear apart a corner of the sky. The black claw rushed directly into the black fist. Boom! The two powerful techniques collided, and the clouds in the sky were scattered. The sound was like the explosion of heavenly thunder. It was quite shocking. Second brother is right. I haven't had a good fight in a long time. Since they came to me, I will teach them a good lesson and let them know whose territory the grassland is. The barbarian tiger roared and rushed out as well. Barbarian tiger fist. The barbarian tiger's fist was different from the barbarian bull's. The fist was filled with golden light and contained the power of tiger. The power of the tiger was very domineering. I like this tigress. Leave it to me. Qing Li Jie licked his lips and rushed out. Green Wolf howls at the moon. Qing Ligia spat out a green light that was like a crescent moon streaking across the sky. It went straight for the golden fist. The celestial phenomenon beast locked onto Bing Shang, an old tortoise, and roared, "Bing Shang, old bastard, come and die. I have long wanted to see how powerful your barbarian elephant fist is." Oh, whoa. How could Bing Shang show weakness? He roared and rushed towards the celestial phenomenon beast. Layers of icicles appeared and pierced towards the celestial phenomenon beast. I already said that harmony is most important. Celestial phenomenon beast, let's sit down and talk. Young Master Yang is not an unreasonable person. Old Tortoise said anxiously. Talk after I cripple you. The celestial phenomenon beast was very confident. He replied and threw out 2 consecutive punches. One punch was aimed at Bing Shang's icicles and the other at Old Tortoise. He wanted to fight the 2 of them by himself. Barbarian Elephant Fist. Among the Barbarian Beast fists, the Barbarian Elephant Fist was ranked first. It was the most powerful punch. When it was thrown out by the Celestial Phenomenon Beast, it was very terrifying. The 2 punches were like Mount Tai. They broke through the air, shattered the icicles, and knocked the tortoise over. Long Nose, you really want to fight? Old Tortoise wants to tell you what harmony is most important. After Old Tortoise was knocked over, he roared back in dissatisfaction. He then joined forces with Bing Shang to attack the Celestial Phenomenon Beast. The Celestial Phenomenon Beast was the most powerful. Its entire body was filled with blood chi. Its barbaric chi was astonishing. Its arms were its most powerful weapons. They blasted out left and right, suppressing Bing Shang and Old Tortoise. Bing Shang and Old Tortoise were not weak. When they joined forces, they could only barely resist the Celestial Phenomenon Beast. The other 4 heavenly demons were evenly matched. Unless they fought to the death, they would only be able to determine the true victor. Yang Wu raised his head to look at the battle between the heavenly demons. He was shocked by their battle. At this level of battle, any casual attack would have the power to destroy the heavens and earth. It was quite powerful and definitely not a battle that a king could display. An army of 10,000 people would not be able to withstand 1 or 2 attacks from them. They would definitely be wiped out. The barbarian race's foundation is quite deep. I think there should be 1 or 2 heavenly realm guardians in the Grand Xia. Yang Wu sighed softly. He then looked at Huangfu Zhanxiong and said, "Do you have any other methods? If you don't, then you'll have to surrender yourselves." Yang Wu, do you still not understand the situation? The guardian elder beside me is a heavenly realm expert. The one who should surrender is you. Huangfu Zhanxiong reprimanded Yang Wu. Cough, cough, patriarch. The woman beside Yang Wu is stronger than me. Huangfu Dalong said with a red face. So you were injured by her? Huangfu Zhanxiong was surprised. Huangfu Dalong nodded, even if he did not want to admit it. The truth was right in front of him. He could not lie to Huangfu Zhanxiong. This is bad, Huangfu Zhanxiong suddenly exclaimed. Unfortunately, it was too late. Meng Bingxue had already made her move under Yang Wu's command. She tried to grab Huangfu Zhanxiong. Don't even think about it. Huangfu Dalong reacted quickly. He immediately stood in front of Huangfu Zhanxiong and tried to stop Meng Bingxue. However, how could he stop Meng Bingxue? Meng Bingxue did not even touch him. She went around him and landed behind Huangfu Zhanxiong. She grabbed Huangfu Zhanxiong like a chicken and returned to Yang Wu's side. Huangfu Dalong reacted and tried his best to stop her. He punched out with both of his fists. His powerful strength rippled like a dragon as it attacked Meng Bingxue. Barbaric Dragon Fist. This was Huangfu Dalong's ultimate skill. He had already practiced it to perfection. His fists were like dragons, domineering and valiant. Meng Bingxue waved her hand, and a thick ice crystal appeared behind her, blocking the dragon's attack. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon's attack was powerful, but when it hit the ice crystal, it shattered inch by inch. It could not break through the ice crystal at all. Break for me. Huangfu Dalong exerted all his strength. His aged body trembled as he activated the 3rd level of brute force, U-Force of brute force. His attack was several times more powerful than before. Only then did he manage to shatter the layer of ice. Unfortunately, Meng Bingxue had already brought Huangfu Zhanxiong back to Yang Wu's side. Yang Wu sat on a rock and looked at Huangfu Zhanxiong, who was still in shock, and asked, "Leader of the barbarian tribe, can we talk now?" Celestial Guardian, save people. Chapter 267. Huangfu Zhanxiong and Huangfu Dalong were quite sad. It wasn't easy for them to get the Celestial Phenomenon Guardian to come out, and they even summoned the other two Guardians. They thought that victory was in their grasp, but the other three Guardians were too impulsive. They didn't care about the big picture at all. If they couldn't even protect their own patriarch, what was the point of rushing over? Huangfu Dalong was a Heaven Realm expert, but he couldn't do anything in front of Meng Bingxue. He could only ask for help. He was afraid that she would kill Huangfu Zhanxiong, and the barbarian race would be in chaos. In the sky, the Celestial Phenomenon Beast was still fighting fiercely with Bing Shang and Old Tortoise. The Celestial Phenomenon Beast was very powerful, and it still had the upper hand. However, Bing Shang and Old Tortoise were not to be trifled with. One of them attacked while the other defended. They barely managed to hold the Celestial Phenomenon Beast back. When the Celestial Phenomenon Beast heard Huangfu Dalong's call for help, it became even angrier. It roared, "I'll kill you all in one fell swoop." Barbarian Elephant Flip. Suddenly, the Celestial Phenomenon Beast transformed into its original form. A silver-scaled giant elephant appeared in the sky, like a mountain covering the sky. Its body began to spin, and a terrifying brute force charged at Bing Shang and Old Tortoise. The crushing force was like a mountain flood that couldn't be stopped. Ice Fong burst. Tortoise Sky Dome. Bing Shang also transformed into its original form, a snow-white ice wolf. It was quite handsome. It opened its mouth and wolf fangs rushed out. The wolf fangs turned into two huge ice fangs, and the cold air was very threatening. It pierced towards the Celestial Phenomenon Beast with a sharp aura. Old Tortoise released a powerful defensive light shield, enveloping it and Bing Shang within it, blocking the power of the Celestial Phenomenon Beast. There was also a powerful vibration force that shook the Celestial Phenomenon Beast. This wave of fierce attacks caused the sky to tremble. All the creatures within a radius of dozens of miles felt this terrifying aura and were so scared that they fell to the ground. When this wave of attacks completely dissipated, Bing Shang and Old Tortoise were sent flying at the same time. Their powerful bodies spun in the air, and demonic blood spilled from time to time. The Celestial Phenomenon Beast was much better than them. It only retreated 100 feet, and two wolf fangs were embedded in its thick skin. Blood slowly seeped out. It had to pay a price for fighting two alone. When it was still chasing Bing Shang and Old Tortoise, it looked down and saw Huangfu Zhanxiong had become a hostage, and Huangfu Dalong had been frostbitten by Meng. It couldn't help but be furious, and shouted, "Die!" After saying that, an elephant leg stomped down from the sky. It was as if the sky was falling down. The terrifying pressure could easily flatten a mountain. Yang Wu had already urged all the strength in his body to resist the pressure of Mount Tai, but he still felt that the circulation of his blood and qi was not smooth, and breathing was quite difficult. Fortunately, Meng Bingxue was there to protect him. She raised her head and looked at the elephant leg. Her eyes flashed with instinct. A sword appeared in her hand, and she stabbed it into the sky. The sword style was shocking. It contained an extremely cold qi, as well as a torrential sword intent. It could even pierce through the sky. Yang Wu was beside her. He could clearly feel that this sword intent was similar to his own fist intent. However, his fist intent was only at the beginning. It was far from her sword intent. Perhaps hers was not as simple as sword intent. It was a kind of sword Dao. Roar. When the Celestial Phenomenon Beast's leg came into contact with the sword, it let out a miserable cry. It quickly retracted its leg. At the same time, a large amount of elephant blood spilled out. Its leg had been pierced through by the sword. As for the ordinary general weapon in Meng Bingxue's hand, it could not withstand the power of the Heaven Realm. It shattered inch by inch. Celestial phenomenon protection can't do anything to this woman? Huangfu Dalong cried out. Huangfu Zhanxiong fell into despair. The woman in front of him was so powerful. Killing him would be as easy as flipping her hand. Tell them to stop. Don't force me to kill them. Yang Wu shouted as he stabbed Huangfu Zhanxiong's throat with his double-edged three-dragon spear. I can't order them, Huangfu Zhanxiong said sadly. The celestial phenomenon beast was even angrier after being injured. It roared again and again. Its huge trunk whipped toward Meng Bingxue. The trunk was like an upside-down heaven hook. Its brute force was astonishing. It was even more powerful than the previous stomp. Bingxue, don't force yourself, Yang Wu worriedly said to Meng Bingxue. Meng Bingxue's palms made a series of hand seals. The extremely cold qi gathered between her palms. She took the initiative to attack the elephant trunk. Frost cold qi palm. The ice palm and the elephant trunk collided with each other, creating a series of explosions. The elephant trunk was pushed back, and Meng Bingxue took the opportunity to jump up into the air. Her two fingers formed into a sharp blade, thrusting towards the elephant's eyes. Frost cold sword finger. The sword qi was like frost. The coldness penetrated the bone. The celestial phenomenon beast's body was huge. It couldn't move as nimbly as Meng Bingxue. However, it didn't mean that it couldn't react. Its elephant ears flapped furiously, trying to break the frost sword qi. Unfortunately, Meng Bingxue's attack contained endless sword qi. Even though the elephant ears had broken the sword qi still hurt the celestial phenomenon beast's eyes. Roar! The celestial phenomenon beast's eyes were hurt. It roared crazily. Its elephant body rolled again, trying to crush Meng Bingxue into pieces. Even though Meng Bingxue's soul was damaged, her fighting instinct was still there. She nimbly retreated to avoid the celestial phenomenon beast's brute force. She kept moving around, attacking the celestial phenomenon beast's weak spots. She moved very fast. Thousands of sword qi were attacking the celestial phenomenon beast crazily. This girl's fighting instinct is not bad. Little He, who was on Yang Wu's shoulder, praised someone. This was enough to prove that Meng Bingxue was indeed a Heaven's Pride warrior. Take this opportunity to take down Yang Wu first. Huangfu Dalong took advantage of the fact that no one was around Yang Wu. He endured the extreme cold qi that Meng Bingxue had used on him. He wanted to take down Yang Wu and take back the initiative. Oh, little ancestor, I've embarrassed you. Bing Shang dragged her injured body back and said to little He with her head lowered, Old tortoise, my shell is about to break. This celestial phenomenon beast's power is too strong. Old tortoise also turned around and said, Huangfu Dalong didn't dare to do anything. These two celestial phenomenon beasts were existences that could fight against the celestial phenomenon beast. Even if they were injured, they were still not something he could fight against. You guys are indeed not as good as that elephant. Lil He didn't blame them too much. In addition, the two battles were quite intense. The barbarian bull demon beast was extremely strong, forcing Black Baron to retreat in a sorry state. The tigress was not Qing Li Jie's opponent. Qing Li Jie's third eye was very strong and had a special demonic ability. The tigress was almost killed by him. Fortunately, the barbarian bull demon beast came to her rescue in time. Black Barbarian Bull and Qing Li Jie. The barbarian bull and the tigress were fighting against each other. They were in a stalemate. When the celestial phenomenon beast was forced into a corner by Meng Bingxue, the barbarian bull and the tigress left Black Barbarian and Qing Li Jie to help their big brother. Boss, let's use the barbarian beast formation to kill them. The barbarian bull shouted. That's right, kill them all, the tigress said angrily. As they spoke, they attacked Meng Bingxue to help their boss escape. Black Barbarian and Qing Li Jie didn't let them go. Bing Shang wanted to join the battle again. Only Old Tortoise was left to protect Yang Wu and Little He. Little Wu, let's end this pointless battle. They should be able to talk calmly now. Little He said to Yang Wu. Yang Wu nodded and called Meng Bingxue. Bingxue, come back. Little Hay also called a few times and ordered the Sky Wolf army to retreat. Meng Bingxue quickly retreated. The celestial phenomenon beast could finally take a breather. It was stronger than Meng Bingxue, but it couldn't use its strength. It couldn't hit Meng Bingxue at all. Meng Bingxue was too fast. Damn humans! The celestial phenomenon beast lost its face and shouted. Fortunately, it didn't attack impulsively this time. Otherwise, it didn't know when the battle would end. The battle stopped. It was back to a stalemate. Yang Wu had Huang Fuzhan Xiong as a hostage. I just have something to talk to you about. Don't be rough, or I'll kill him first. Yang Wu didn't care if the celestial phenomenon beast, barbarian bull beast, and tigress listened or not, and said loudly. Huang Fu Dalong quickly said to the three guardians, "Guardians, don't fight. The chief is in their hands." The three guardians landed at the same time. When the celestial phenomenon beast landed, it was as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking. What's there to talk about? We can use the barbarian beast formation to kill them all. Barbarian bull shouted angrily. That's right. No one can challenge the dignity of the barbarian race. Tigress agreed. Enough. Give them a chance to talk. If they don't agree, then we'll fight. The celestial phenomenon beast said. It stared at Meng Bingxue with fear in its eyes. This human woman gave a strong sense of threat. Although it didn't use its trump card, it didn't want to use it unless it had no other choice. Yang Wu licked his dry lips and said faintly, "That's right. We need to make peace." Beside him, the old tortoise rolled its eyes and muttered in its heart, "Young Master Yang, you're stealing my lines. How shameless." Yang Wu, are you from the transcendent realm or not? Huang Fuzhan Xiong took the opportunity to ask Yang Wu. I'm from the Great Xia. That's right. The transcendent realm you're talking about is far from me, so I don't know what you're trying to say. Yang Wu replied. People from the transcendent realm can't interfere with the affairs of the mortal realm. That's the rule, Huang Fuzhan Xiong declared. That has nothing to do with me. This time, I came with sincerity to talk to you about something. If you want to fight, then don't blame me. Yang Wu said, what do you want to talk about? Could it be that you want to join our barbarian race? Join your barbarian race? How can you ask that? If I join your barbarian race, would you dare to accept me? Chapter 268. Cough, cough. Huang Fuzhan Xiong choked on Yang Wu's words. He was the leader of a tribe and was comparable to the ruler of a country. Yet, he couldn't even answer a question from a youth. However, Yang Wu was right. The barbarian race couldn't accept such a monster. This was definitely a monster that only the transcendent realm could accept. The barbarian race couldn't accept him. If they accepted him, the entire barbarian race's resources wouldn't be enough for him to squander. Come, let's sit down and talk. I think we can turn enemies into friends, right? Yang Wu patted the rock beside him and said, Huang Fuzhan Xiong had the spirit of a tribe leader. Even in front of so many Heaven Realm experts, he still sat down facing Yang Wu and asked, what do you want to talk about? He really couldn't figure out what this youth wanted to do. He had seen countless people, but he couldn't see through this youth. Perhaps this youth had already left the scope of the mortal realm. I want the barbarian race to coexist peacefully with the Great Xia. Yang Wu tapped his finger on the rock and said calmly, based on what? Huang Fuzhan Xiong frowned. Based on me, Yang Wu. Yang Wu said in an incomparably domineering manner. Then do you know how many disputes have happened between the two countries and how much blood has been shed? How can it be resolved with just a few words? Even if you kill me today, the barbarian race can't coexist peacefully with the Great Xia. The people of the Great Xia have been stained with the blood of our people. They must be cleansed with blood. Huang Fuzhan Xiong said with a strong determination. But the barbarian race has killed many people of the Great Xia. You have been stained with blood. When will revenge stop? Yang Wu sighed and said, from the beginning, it was the Great Xia that wanted to invade our territory. If it wasn't for our ancestors protecting this pure land, this place would have been occupied by you. Now that our tribe has become stronger, how can the Great Xia solve the problem by seeking peace? Unless you are willing to accept us as your master and pay tribute to us, only then will there be a possibility of peaceful coexistence. Huangfu Zhanxiong said firmly. Not far away, Huangfu Dalong and the barbarian demon protectors revealed satisfied expressions. They approved of Huangfu Zhanxiong's domineering attitude. Yang Wu dug his ears and said, "Why do I always hear that it's you barbarians who are invading our Great Xia? Your Great Xia Empire naturally knows how to distort right and wrong. All right, I don't want to argue with you about this meaningless nonsense. I only have one request for you, and that is for the two countries to coexist peacefully. In your dreams, you have two daughters? How did you know? Did one of them go missing long ago? My daughter is in your hands, isn't she?" Huangfu Zhanxiong became extremely agitated and shouted. Previously, he launched a large-scale campaign in order to find his other daughter. Unfortunately, his efforts were in vain. Not only did he not find his daughter, but he also suffered a double loss. Now that he heard Yang Wu mention his daughter, how could he not be excited? "If I tell you that your daughter is my servant, will you kill me?" Yang Wu smiled faintly and said, "I will kill you." Huangfu Zhanxiong was really straightforward. He charged at Yang Wu. Unfortunately, Meng Bingshue's extreme ice chi quickly blocked in front of him, causing him to hit the ice wall and bounce back. A wave of extreme ice chi enveloped his entire body. "Bastard!" Huangfu Dalong angrily shouted and rushed over. "Bingshue, don't make things difficult for him." Yang Wu gently patted Meng Bingshue and said. Meng Bingshue quickly retracted all of her extreme ice chi and coldly stood beside Yang Wu to protect him. "Is my daughter doing well?" Huangfu Zhanxiong calmed down and curled up his body as he asked. As the head of a clan, Huangfu Zhanxiong's temperament was incomparably firm. However, he was also a father. Facing his long-lost daughter, his heart was filled with guilt. Even in his dreams, he wanted to find his daughter. Now that he finally had news of her, he really couldn't control his own situation. Yang Wu lightly shook his head and said, "She is not doing well. When I met her, she was already a prison slave. You people of Xia are so cruel. She is still a child." Huangfu Zhanxiong bit his lips and angrily said. At this moment, his heart was bleeding and he was extremely uncomfortable. "Don't be agitated. Listen to me carefully." After Yang Wu comforted Huangfu Zhanxiong, he told Huangfu Zhanxiong about the process of how he met Xiao Man. He did not hide anything. Huangfu Zhanxiong slowly listened. His resolute eyes were filled with tears. The hearts of all parents in the world were pitiful. No matter how high Huangfu Zhanxiong's status was at this moment, he was just an ordinary father. A frail father who was worried about his daughter. His daughter was in pain, and his heart was in pain. This was the feeling of being related by blood and flesh. It was a fact that could never be changed by anything else. "That's why I said that the little man is my servant girl," Yang Wu faintly said. Then, he added, "At the same time, she is also my younger sister." Huangfu Zhanxiong's gaze was fixed on Yang Wu. He hoped to see from Yang Wu's eyes whether he was lying or not. In the end, he was willing to believe Yang Wu's words because he felt that the light emitted from Yang Wu's eyes was so sincere and full of emotions. He wasn't a deceitful villain who was deceiving others. "Where is she now?" Huangfu Zhanxiong continued to ask. "I don't know where she is." Yang Wu heavily sighed and said, "You are fooling me." Huangfu Zhanxiong shouted emotionally. "Don't be agitated. Let me finish first." Yang Wu pressed his hands together and continued to narrate what had happened in the army. However, this time, he didn't say that the little man had been killed by Su Xiaoqiang. Instead, he said that she had gone missing. This half-truth made Huangfu Zhanxiong feel even more anguished. Huangfu Zhanxiong completely believed Yang Wu's words. This was because he had sent Huangfu Taiging to infiltrate the Great Xia army and still couldn't find his daughter. This proved that Yang Wu wasn't lying. Fortunately, the altar in his tribe showed that the little man was still alive. This was the only thing that made him feel relieved. "I, Huangfu Zhanxiong, am eternally grateful that you have taken care of my daughter." Huangfu Zhanxiong switched his hands and made a gesture of gratitude unique to the barbarians. Then he said to Yang Wu, "This isn't a reason for my tribe to coexist peacefully with Great Xia. Yes, I don't expect you to stop fighting just because of my relationship with the little man. I'm only saying this to express my sincerity. Yang Wu replied softly. Then he said, with me at the border, how confident do you think you will be in winning the war? These words struck a chord with Huangfu Zhanxiong's heart. Yang Wu's ability had already far exceeded the scope of the mortal world. If Yang Wu continued to stay at the border, the barbarians wouldn't be able to gain any benefits unless they used all their strength. I am now the commander of the Death Legion. The Rose of Death is also my subordinate. You have also seen the few people behind me. I can let them fight for me at any time. Not to mention the other generals of Great Xia. You barbarians won't have any chance to invade Great Xia. Yang Wu analyzed for Huangfu Zhanxiong. Little brat, my barbarian cavalry is very powerful. Not only do we have 1,000,000 combat soldiers, we also have 1,000,000 beast cavalry. If we all go south, we will be able to flatten Great Xia in less than half a month. Tianxiang yelled in dissatisfaction from afar. Tianxiang, let's talk about it after your tribe passes through the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range. Bing Shang replied coldly. Tianxiang was speechless. The Wolf Smoke Mountain Range indeed separated the two countries. If it wasn't for the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range, they would have been able to conquer Great Xia. There was an agreement between the three parties. The Wolf Smoke Mountain Range couldn't participate in the war between the humans, and the beasts of the grassland couldn't invade the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range in large numbers. This was the rule. If anyone broke it, the Wolf Smoke Mountain Range would side with the other party. Give me a 10-year peace contract, and I will help you find the little man. I also have a way to find her, but it will take some time. Yang Wu felt that it was about time and stated his conditions. Really? Huangfu Zhanxiong was tempted. Of course. Yang Wu nodded his head seriously and replied, what are you planning to do? I don't think you are working for the Great Xia Empire. Huangfu Zhanxiong raised the doubts in his heart. You don't have to worry about this. In short, I'm a citizen of Great Xia. Yang Wu naturally couldn't explain his situation to Huangfu Zhanxiong. Then how long will it take you to find my daughter and return her to me? 3 years if you are fast, 5 years if you're slow. That's too long. 1 year. I will only give you 1 year. I'm afraid something will happen to her. Okay, 1 year it is. Anyway, I don't want anything to happen to the little man. Deal. Great. Yang Wu and Huangfu Zhanxiong's negotiation finally ended. A huge rock in his heart was finally lifted. He sighed heavily in his heart and said, this time, I want to see what reason the royal family has to keep me at the border. Next, the two of them discussed how to sign the peace treaty. Such an important matter required the signature of the representatives of the two countries. So, Yang Wu's signature didn't have any meaning. This was also part of Yang Wu's plan. He wanted to become the representative of the two countries. So, he needed the barbarians to create this momentum for him. This was also the reason why he had gone through so many twists and turns. Yang Wu, you are a very outstanding youth. I respect you very much. Next, I would like to invite you to my tent as a guest. Do you have the courage? Huangfu Zhanxiong admired Yang Wu even more. With such a hero in Great Xia in the future, there was no need to worry about prosperity. However, he knew that Yang Wu wouldn't stay in the mortal world for long and would leave sooner or later. Such a youth was worth it for him to set aside his hatred for his country and befriend. After all, people who had reached the transcendent realm no longer had the concept of a country. What they pursued was no longer such small conflicts. Instead, they wanted to fight against the heavens and fight against the great Tao. How could Yang Wu dare to refuse an invitation from a noble? Yang Wu replied with a loud laugh. The Lord Spirit demons behind you can't go with you. Of course, I only need to bring my woman and my spiritual pet. Woof woof. Chapter 269. The barbarian tribe had been living in the beautiful prairie for generations. They were a passionate and heroic race, living with elephants, cows, and horses. To the people of the Grand Xia dynasty, the barbarian tribe was evil beyond redemption. To the people of the barbarian tribe, they were a family. They were united and loving, not evil at all. As far as the eye could see, there were patches of tender grass growing everywhere. There were elephant demons, cow demons, and horse demons. Each of them occupied their own territory and lived in peace. The barbarian tribe was able to coexist peacefully among them because they were born with a sense of kinship with these tribes. This was especially true for the Meng tribe. They could even order these tribes to attack and defend against the enemy. Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue rode on a noble dragon-blooded horse with Huangfu Zhanxiong as they toured the barbarian tribe's military camp. The dragon-blooded horse was a special horse demon of the barbarian tribe. It had amazing horsepower and could travel thousands of miles in a day. It was rumored that it had the blood of the dragon clan flowing in its veins. Its body was quite sturdy, and its crimson fur, as well as its 4 powerful limbs, made it look very mighty. When Meng Bingxue saw the dragon-blooded horse, she couldn't take her eyes off it. Therefore, Huangfu Zhanxiong decided to give the dragon-blooded horse to her as a mount. The dragon-blooded horse was extremely arrogant. How could ordinary people sit on it? When Meng Bingxue and Yang Wu sat on it, the dragon-blooded horse wanted to intimidate them. However, before it could do that, it was slapped to the ground by Meng Bingxue. The dragon-blooded horse neighed in pain. It was frightened. It was only a demon general. How could it withstand Meng Bingxue's strength? If it wasn't for Yang Wu's persuasion, Meng Bingxue would have killed it. The two of them brought Blackie with them to the army camp. The other 4 heavenly demons stayed where they were and did not follow them. It had to be said that Yang Wu was skilled and daring. Even Huangfu Zhanxiong gave him a thumbs up. If this scene was seen by the people of Grand Xia, they would definitely label Yang Wu as a traitor. But why would Yang Wu care? Earlier on, he was a prison slave and was almost killed by someone. Although he wouldn't betray Grand Xia, it didn't mean that he would continue to be loyal to the Grand Xia royal clan. Their actions had already bitterly disappointed him. He had to give a domineering response and tell the Grand Xia royal clan that he, Yang Wu, wasn't someone they could easily bully. All of this was for the sake of seeking justice and returning his Yang family status. The barbarian army had a deep impression of Yang Wu. In a battle not long ago, it was this young man who had come out to mess things up. He had even killed their barbarian king. Now, he had brought a heaven demon to show off his prowess to the barbarian army. It was really detestable. Unfortunately, they had to carefully accompany their own clan leader. So where would they find the courage to challenge Yang Wu? Fortunately, Yang Wu and his group didn't stay in the barracks for long. They went straight to the Huangfu tribe with Huangfu Zhanxiong. Along the way, Yang Wu was completely mesmerized by the grassland scenery. In spring, the grass was lush and full of vitality. When a breeze blew, the tender shoots would bend slightly, as if they were bowing to a guest from afar. The oxen and horses were galloping freely, their cries echoing endlessly in the air. It was so joyous. In the distance, the melodious sound of a shepherd's flute could be heard. There was a child sitting on the back of a cow, leisurely herding the cows and sheep. He was carefree and only had eyes for the vast and boundless grassland. There were also young men galloping on their horses, chasing the girls they liked. The girls' smiles were like flowers, and the bells on their clothes were tinkling, adding a thick and bright color to the spring scenery. Meng Bingxue's face, which looked like it would never melt for 1,000 years, became more lively. It was as if she was infected by the beautiful scenery. She softly leaned on the back of the horse, and the broad and warm chest was filled with endless satisfaction and happiness. Yang Wu looked at everything here, and all the worries in his heart disappeared. The shackles on his back seemed to have broken in an instant. The divine court was peaceful, and his chest was relaxed. The spiritual force of the divine court and the Xian Qi in the peach core dantian began to circulate throughout his body. The two forces were mixing. The divine court's Tao flower was thriving, and the Xian Qi in the peach core dantian was surging. His soul and body were incomparably joyful, as if they were merging with the world. Yang Wu hugged Meng Bingxue's slender waist and laughed loudly to the sky. Let's gallop on the horses and step on the boundless grassland. A man, a woman, and a dog sat on the dragon-blooded horse, galloping on the grassland to their heart's content. They were in an incomparably good mood. Huangfu Zhanxiong looked at Yang Wu's group in the distance and didn't say anything to stop them. He smiled and muttered to himself, No matter who comes to the great grassland, they will love everything here. He led the dozens of riders behind him and slowly followed from behind. This was their territory, and even Yang Wu dared to enter. There was no reason for them to be afraid that their guest would do something out of line here. Yang Wu's group galloped to their heart's content. They didn't know how long they had run, but they stopped when they saw the land of a tribe in the distance. The barbarians were still very hostile to the people of the Great Xia. Even though Yang Wu wasn't afraid, he didn't want to cause any trouble. He dismounted from his horse and planned to wait for Huangfu Zhanxiong's group to arrive. At this moment, Yang Wu suddenly heard the crisp sound of iron being struck. Clang! Clang! Yang Wu curiously looked in the direction of the sound. In the distance, he saw a solitary tent far away from the tribe. In front of this tent, there was a large stove, as well as other auxiliary stoves and tools for forging weapons. In front of the stove, there was a middle-aged man with a bare upper body, holding a sledgehammer and hammering away. Beside him, there was a tanned youth running back and forth, as if he was the middle-aged man's assistant. Yang Wu's eyesight was extraordinary. Even though he was far away, he could still see that the bare-chested middle-aged man wasn't a barbarian. Could it be him? Yang Wu was puzzled. He led the horse and led Meng Bingxue toward the black-chested man. When Yang Wu and his party approached, the young man immediately noticed them. He was holding a red iron rod and had a vigilant look on his face. The young man could see that Yang Wu was different from the barbarians. That was why he was afraid that he might be an enemy. Water! The middle-aged man was concentrating on hammering. He suddenly shouted at the young man. "Oh, I'll water it." The young man came back to his senses. He trembled and soaked the red iron rod in the bucket. Sizzle! Sizzle! A burst of white smoke immediately rose from the water. The young man handed the iron rod back to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man handed the other iron rod to the young man. He continued hammering the iron rod with water. Clang! Clang! This was a very rhythmic hammering sound. Bursts of red sparks kept splashing. The thick iron rod gradually became thinner, revealing the smooth iron back. At first, Yang Wu didn't care. He was just curious to see how the middle-aged man hammered. However, as he watched, he found that the middle-aged man's movements were somewhat strange. The middle-aged man's horse stance was very stable. The iron hammer in his hand was the best weapon in his hands, and he was hammering at a moderate frequency. His arms were raised at the same height, and his body did not move at all. His other hand that was holding the iron slab was like playing with a toy, spinning it back and forth. His palm and the iron slab were not really held together, but were controlled by a strand of profound qi. His profound qi flipped the iron slab at will, and everything about the iron slab was under his control. After a series of hammering, the iron was hammered into the shape of a knife. This knife didn't look special, but if one looked closely, they would find that there were almost no flaws on the knife's body. It was incomparably smooth, like a mirror that could reflect everything. Moreover, it took less than a quarter of an hour to complete, which was really shocking. Even though Yang Wu was an outsider, he still felt that the middle-aged man's hammering skills were miraculous. Ordinary blacksmiths wouldn't be able to do this without 1 or 2 days of hard work. Even the blacksmiths wouldn't be as good as this middle-aged man. This was a great blacksmith skill. When he couldn't finish hammering a knife, he took the iron rod from the young man's hand and continued hammering. He acted as if he didn't see Yang Wu and the others. Only the young man's eyes kept flickering. He was looking at Meng Bingxue. His tender face blushed from time to time. Yang Wu watched for a while. When he was about to leave, the middle-aged man threw the iron rod in his hand onto the shelf behind him. He then looked up at Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue and said, "You are our guests. Xiao Fan, give the guests some horse milk wine." "Yes, father," the young man hurriedly replied. He then turned around and ran back to the tent. Soon, he took out 3 bags of horse milk wine and handed them to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man patted the young man's messy head and said, "You should toast the guests first. Don't you know this etiquette?" "I'm sorry, father." The young man apologized and ran to Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue with the wine. He handed the 2 bags to them. Meng Bingxue didn't take it. Yang Wu took it for her. He opened it and smelled it. The smell of the milk wine drifted out. He couldn't help but praise, "Good wine." The young man took the last bag and gave it to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man took it and waved it at Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue. "Drink." Yang Wu also raised his wine cup and drank it in large mouthfuls. Meng Bingxue didn't drink. Little Hay opened the bag under Yang Wu's spear and drank it. Woof, woof. This milk wine tastes so good. Little Hay couldn't help but stick out its tongue after drinking it. Only Yang Wu could hear it. The others couldn't. Ha! The young man looked at Little Hay and couldn't help but laugh. The middle-aged man hit the young man's head again and scolded. "Who told you to laugh at the guests? You have no manners. Apologize to the guests." The young man lowered his head and apologized. "I'm sorry." Yang Wu waved his hand and said, "It's okay. My spirit pet doesn't know manners." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaohei spat a mouthful of horse milk wine at Yang Wu's face. "Ha!" The young man couldn't help but laugh again. Ouch! Chapter 270. Once there was a king ranked in the top 10 of the Great Xia. He was very powerful. At the same time, he was also a blacksmith. The biggest blacksmith pavilion in King City belonged to him. His students were all outstanding blacksmiths. Almost all of them were blacksmiths of the Great Xia dynasty. The weapons they made were not only beautiful, but also very useful. That king blacksmith was called Iron Hand Shui. He had a very high prestige in the Great Xia dynasty. This Iron Hand Shui was not like the other blacksmiths who always stayed in the blacksmith pavilion to forge. He also held an important position in the army and went to the battlefield with the generals to kill the enemy. In one battle, this Iron Hand Shui captured a pregnant barbarian woman. This Iron Hand Shui never killed the old, the weak, the women, or the children. Therefore, he let the pregnant barbarian woman go. It was this action that brought him a series of troubles. In the end, he was convicted of the crime of colluding with the enemy. His weapon refining pavilion was destroyed, and his disciples were either killed or sent to prison. He was forced to leave his hometown, and from then on, he had to give up everything he had in his hometown. This Iron Hand Shui's deeds were called the shame of the Great Xia dynasty. Countless curses were added to this Iron Hand Shui. He would go down in the history of the Great Xia dynasty for thousands of years. Today, the only person in the Great Xia dynasty who could live well in the territory of the barbarians was this Iron Hand Shui Gui. Yang Wu had long known of this person's existence, but when he saw him with his own eyes, he had a different feeling in his heart. The man in front of him had a face full of hardships. His short hair was already a little white, and there was a long scar on his square face. The muscles all over his body were bulging, and he was still valiant and powerful, especially his pair of hands full of calluses, which confirmed his name of Iron Hands. "Okay, you have drunk the wine. If there is nothing else, please leave," Shui Gui said to Yang Wu bluntly. He did not ask for Yang Wu's name. He did not ask for Yang Wu's background. He did not need to know anything. He just saw someone from his hometown. As a landlord, he invited Yang Wu to drink this bag of wine. The past had nothing to do with him. "We are all in the same boat," Yang Wu said casually. He then turned around and left with Meng Bingxue. However, he hadn't walked far when something appeared in his hand. He threw it back and said, "This is my gift in return. Please accept it." Bang! The return gift landed in front of the tent, smashing a deep hole into the ground. It was so terrifying that the young man jumped in fright. "Father, this looks like a piece of red steel," the youth said after taking a look. The middle-aged man smacked the youth's head again, hitting him so hard that the youth was about to cry. He reached out and grabbed, and the stone that was close to 50 kilograms fell into his palm. He said, "This is red essence stone, a genuine king-grade material. If you can't even distinguish this material, how can you become an outstanding weapon refiner in the future? Quickly go and forge 100 pieces of iron for me. After you're done, you're not allowed to eat." "Godfather, you are the devil," the young man shouted in defiance and quickly went to forge the iron. He knew that his adoptive father always kept his word. The middle-aged man looked at the man and woman in the distance, and then at Huangfu Zhanxiong's group. A complicated look flashed in his eyes, and then he continued to forge. Yang Wu took Meng Bingxue and followed Huangfu Zhanxiong for 3 days before arriving at the Huangfu tribe. They were so slow because Yang Wu took Meng Bingxue to play from time to time. While enjoying the scenery of the prairie, he found that his strength had increased over the past 3 days. This was under the condition that he didn't deliberately cultivate. He had now reached the late stage of the primary Earth-Sea realm and was not far from the intermediate stage. As for Meng Bingxue, she was in a trance from time to time, as if she had remembered something. She showed an indescribable expression from time to time. Yang Wu didn't expect Meng Bingxue to get better during this time, but it was always good for her to be smarter. When they arrived at the Huangfu tribe, a powerful team of mammoths came out to greet them. Yang Wu had followed Huangfu Zhanxiong all the way here, and the news had already reached the Huangfu tribe. Although the barbarians didn't know why their chief had brought 2 people from Great Xia back, they knew that their chief would never betray them. Woo-woo! The sound of bugles rang out, and 2 teams of mammoths stood side by side, opening up a path to welcome their chief and distinguished guests. Father! At the end of the passage, a barbarian girl cried out in surprise. Then, she ran over briskly with her lotus steps. This young girl was wearing the unique clothing of the barbarian race. It was gorgeous and elegant. Her tall and slender figure was incomparably alluring. Her bright and beautiful face, as well as her jade-like red lips, were breathtakingly beautiful. She was barbarian race's Princess Mingyu, Huangfu Mingyu. Mingyu, come over and take a look. Do you still remember him? Huangfu Zhanxiong smiled and asked while pointing at Yang Wu. When Huangfu Mingyu saw Yang Wu walking side by side with her father, she was originally in a good mood. However, after seeing Meng Bingxue following Yang Wu like a shadow, she revealed a dissatisfied expression and said, "Even if I turn into ashes, I will still remember him." After pausing for a moment, she asked her father, "Father, why did you bring him back? Could it be that he is willing to surrender to our tribe?" Huangfu Zhanxiong didn't know how to answer this question. His old face was flushed red as he laughed and said, "Yang Wu is our tribe's distinguished guest. Father and him won't get to know each other until we fight. Quickly prepare a banquet. I want to entertain our distinguished guest." How could he tell his daughter that he had been kidnapped? How shameful would that be? How could he be worthy of being our tribe's distinguished guest? What kind of bewitching potion did father give you? Huangfu Mingyu said with an unhappy expression. "Impudent! Leave immediately!" Huangfu Zhanxiong sternly shouted at his daughter. Huangfu Mingyu was used to being unruly. He was afraid that she would offend Yang Wu. That would be troublesome. This matter was related to his other daughter. Huangfu Mingyu pouted and coldly humphed. She then glared at Yang Wu and trotted away. "Yang Wu, I'm sorry. My daughter is still holding a grudge against you for kidnapping her last time," Huangfu Zhanxiong said with a smile. How could he not hold a grudge against Yang Wu for what he had done to him? For the sake of his daughter, he could let go of all his hatred. Yang Wu smiled and said, "It's fine. The noble princess is very beautiful. She really looks like little man. Do they really look like each other?" Huangfu Zhanxiong asked. "They're almost made from the same mold. But little man is thinner than her. My poor child. She has suffered so much outside. If I find out who kidnapped her, I don't care who he is. I will cut him into pieces." Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue entered the most honorable tent of the barbarian race. Huangfu Zhanxiong had prepared the most sumptuous food and wine for Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue. It could be seen that he really didn't want to deal with Yang Wu. However, Huangfu Zhanxiong's behavior made the others very unhappy. Since when did the barbarian race treat their enemies like this? They even treated them as distinguished guests. Yang Wu had killed many barbarian race members on the battlefield. He had even killed several barbarian kings. How could they let go of this hatred? And just when those who were unhappy with Yang Wu wanted to find trouble with him, another piece of news circulated out. Yang Wu was someone who had obtained the recognition of the Constellation Protectors. They couldn't easily antagonize him. In many cases, the Celestial Phenomenon Guardian's words were more effective than the barbarian race leader's words. They instantly made people hold their breaths. If the barbarian race leader was their core, the emperor who protected their peace and prosperity. Then the celestial phenomenon guardians were their spiritual guardians. They represented the righteous order of Mount Barbarian God. They made them obey and worship unconditionally. That was the decision of God. They couldn't change it. However, it didn't mean that this matter was over. Huangfu Mingyu was the barbarian race's princess. She had countless pursuers. Many young warriors wanted to win her heart. Today, she was wronged. Naturally, there were people who wanted to avenge her. At this time, 3 young barbarians were gathered around Huangfu Mingyu. They were Huangfu Luozhong, Shi Ligei, and Huyin Shilin. Huangfu Luozhong was Huangfu Luosha's younger brother. He was one of the princes of the barbarian race. He was tall, handsome, and had an extraordinary temperament. After Huangfu Luosha's death, he had hopes of taking over the position of barbarian race leader. This was all because Huangfu Zhanxiong didn't have a son. Huangfu Mingyu couldn't take over the position of barbarian race leader. Shi Ligei was Shi Kailiai's grandson. He had been heavily groomed and had the potential to become the youngest king. He wasn't arranged to go to the battlefield this time for safety reasons. Huyin Shilin was more low-key than the other 2. However, no one dared to doubt the combat strength of this genius who had awakened the 3rd level of brute force. He was the youngest of the 3. At the age of 16, he had already reached the advanced barbarian general realm. He was a specially recruited disciple of the Sacred Flame sect and was destined to shine in the Transcendence world in the future. Sister, we plan to teach that great Xiaoman a lesson for you. Huangfu Luozhong said to Huangfu Mingyu directly. In the barbarian race, other than biological siblings who couldn't marry, there was no problem for siblings who were separated by generations to get married. For the barbarian race, this was the key to maintaining the purity of their bloodline. That's right. How can that great Xiaoman be worthy of barbarian race leaders' personal escort and hold such a noble welcome ceremony? We must teach him a lesson and let barbarian race leaders see clearly that great Xia people are just cowards, Shi Ligei echoed. He didn't know that his grandfather had been killed by Yang Wu. If he had known, he wouldn't have said such a thing. Sister Mingyu, do you want me to teach him a lesson? Huyin Shilin asked Huangfu Mingyu with a hint of contempt. Among these people, he was the only one who dared to look at Huangfu Mingyu in such a presumptuous manner. I'm afraid that you won't be able to teach him a lesson and will be taught a lesson by him instead. That would be a disgrace to our race. Huangfu Mingyu sighed softly. She had seen Yang Wu's strength. Even an outer disciple of the Sacred Flame sect had been killed by him, let alone these 3 people in front of her. However, her words made the 3 of them feel unbalanced in their hearts, and they insisted on finding trouble with Yang Wu. Chapter 271. The spring scenery of the grassland was beautiful. When the sun rose, it looked as if it was slowly climbing up from the horizon. Wisps of rich purple cheese scattered between heaven and earth. A young man wearing a navy blue robe was already sitting cross-legged outside the tent. His body seemed to be emitting a divine light, and there was a blue flame beating in his heart. This flame greedily absorbed the wisps of purple chi into his heart. In addition, the peach core dantian in his body was producing a crazy devouring power. As his meridians and acupoints moved, he absorbed the surrounding purple chi. Purple chi from the east. This was the purest power of the sun. It was not easy to capture and devour it. Only a powerful Xian formula had such an ability. It was rare to see a young man like this who could devour so much purple chi in one go. It could also be seen that this young man's Xian formula was quite brilliant. After the young man devoured the purple chi, he only felt a warm and comfortable feeling in his body. He stood up and stretched his body. Pa-pa, sounds of bones cracking could be heard. It was obvious that he had grown taller, and he looked more and more extraordinary. This barbarian place is really good. Being able to come here occasionally to cultivate has changed my state of mind. Yang Wu muttered as he looked at the towering Mount Barbarian God in the distance. Yesterday, after drinking with Huangfu Zhanxiong and his important clansmen, he rested under the arrangement of the other party. They did not talk about anything serious. He was not in a hurry to talk immediately. Anyway, As long as Huangfu Zhanxiong did not play any tricks, he could basically settle it. Now, he wanted to enjoy the scenery of the grassland before he planned to go back. The only unexpected thing was that Little Hayes suddenly left and ran to Mount Barbarian God. It said that there might be a sacred object that could help it recover its strength in advance. Yang Wu could not restrict Little Hayes' freedom, so he let it go. He believed that even if it lost its strength, no one could do anything to it. The barbarian maid brought Yang Wu some things to wash up with. The barbarian maid looked at Yang Wu with great curiosity. Her gaze was not reserved at all. On the contrary, it was very direct. Yang Wu was a little embarrassed. After Yang Wu washed his face, he asked shyly, "Is there a flower on my face?" The barbarian maid could not help but laugh. Then she said, "There is no flower, but it looks better." Indeed, the men of the grassland were all tall and rough. They belonged to the tough and domineering type. It was rare to see a handsome man like Yang Wu, so the barbarian maid was quite curious. "You really know how to talk. Later, I'll ask your patriarch to increase your salary," Yang Wu said with a smile. "What is Feng Lu?" the barbarian maid asked. This is your reward." Yang Wu hesitated for a moment before saying, "We don't get paid," of the barbarian maid. "Is there such a good thing? Then how do you live? Where do your food and clothing come from?" That's simple. That's simple. If anyone in our tribe has food, we share it with everyone. We won't let our companions starve, and we don't have to worry about clothes either. We're women, so we'll do the weaving work. The men's clothes are all made by us, so of course we don't have to worry about clothes. We can help each other out here, and we'll work together to buy things. That's why there's no need for compensation." Yang Wu said in surprise, "Is that okay?" "Why not? Are you Great Xia people different?" the barbarian maid asked. Yang Wu spread his hands and said, "It is really different." The barbarian maid wanted to ask more questions, but a voice came from outside. "Honored guest, our chief invites you." "Okay, I will be right there," Yang Wu responded. Then, he greeted the barbarian maid with an apologetic look on his face. Then he walked out of the tent. Meng Bingxue, who had been following Yang Wu, appeared out of nowhere and followed Yang Wu like a shadow, protecting him at all times. Soon, they arrived at Huangfu Zhanxiong's tent. Huangfu Zhanxiong saw Yang Wu with Meng Bingxue, so he winked at him and said, "Yang Wu, let's talk business today. Do you think you should let the others go out first?" Yang Wu also saw that there was no one else in Huangfu Zhanxiong's tent, so he let Meng Bingxue go out first. The two of them had a secret meeting between the two countries. No one else knew what had happened in this half a day. Yang Wu came out of the tent with a satisfied smile at noon. It could be seen that he had gotten the result he wanted. Huangfu Zhanxiong also came out. There was no trace of worry on his face. Instead, there was a faint smile on his face. It seemed that he was satisfied with Yang Wu's request. "Yang Wu, if you're not in a hurry to go back, why don't I let my daughter show you around and let you experience the scenery of our grassland?" Huangfu Zhanxiong said. At this time, his hostility toward Yang Wu had turned into admiration. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This is not like a young man at all. He is more like an old fox. Yang Wu hesitated and said, "If possible, I want to go to the sacred mountain. It is said that your tribe's sacred mountain is the #1 mountain in the world. It is a rare opportunity to come here. It will be a pity if I don't go and take a look." He was not interested in the sacred mountain. He was only concerned about Little Hay. "That is not a problem. You are my tribe's honored guest. If you go to the sacred mountain, I believe the celestial phenomenon guardians will not make things difficult for you." Huangfu Zhanxiong agreed. Thus, Huangfu Zhanxiong called Huangfu Mingyu over and arranged for her to bring Yang Wu to Mount Barbarian God. It could be seen that Huangfu Zhanxiong was completely at ease with Yang Wu. He was not worried that Yang Wu would harm his daughter. After all, his life was more precious than his daughter's. Yang Wu did not kill him, so why would he kill his daughter? Moreover, both sides had just agreed on a contract. Yang Wu would not do anything unnecessary. After Huangfu Mingyu heard her father's words, she agreed without hesitation. This caused Huangfu Zhanxiong to have some doubts. Yesterday, she was still unhappy with Yang Wu. Why did she agree so quickly today? He did not continue to think about it. Instead, he felt gratified for his daughter. Just like that, Huangfu Mingyu led Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue to Mount Barbarian God. Apart from them, there were also some attendants. There were about 20 to 30 of them. Although the group was not large, they were all in the general realm. There was even a barbarian king realm guard. Although the prairie was the barbarian race's territory, there were still some restless hidden forces that wanted to destroy the peace of the prairie. They had to be on guard. Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue were still riding the dragon-blooded horse. It had already been tamed and did not dare to play any tricks. Huangfu Mingyu was riding a huge tusked elephant. There was a comfortable seat on the elephant's back. Sitting on the elephant, a delicate girl like her stood out like a crane in a flock of chickens. On the way, Yang Wu looked at Huangfu Mingyu from time to time. The more he looked at her, the more she looked like Little Man. Her expression and appearance were really carved from the same mold. He sighed in his heart, as expected of twin sisters. Thinking of this, he felt that Little Man was really bitter. She was separated from her parents when she was young. Then, she became someone's servant. She even became a prison slave. Now, her whereabouts were unknown. This made him feel sad for her. Huangfu Mingyu felt a little uncomfortable under Yang Wu's gaze. She couldn't help but turn around and glare at Yang Wu. "What are you looking at? Have you never seen a beauty before?" "Indeed, I have never seen a barbarian girl as beautiful as you." Yang Wu nodded in agreement. Since arriving at the prairie, he had seen some barbarian girls. There were not many beautiful ones. They were all tall and strong, similar to Nan Runin. "That's because you're blind. There are many beautiful barbarian girls." Huangfu Mingyu responded fiercely. "Maybe. Different races have different tastes." Yang Wu responded. He was giving face to Little Man and didn't want to argue with her. Huangfu Mingyu asked, "Why did you come this time? Why is my father so polite to you? Are you threatening my father again?" At that time, in the Wolf Smoke mountain range, she still remembered the 1,000-year-old turtle that Yang Wu summoned. Even her father had to bow his head to that level of existence. She was afraid that Yang Wu would use the same method to come this time. "Do I look like I'm threatening him? If you want to talk about threatening, it should be you threatening me." Yang Wu spread his hands and said, "So you're saying that you're a captive brought back by my father?" Huangfu Mingyu asked with a trace of expectation. Yang Wu patted his forehead, looking defeated by this little girl, and said, "Have you ever seen a captive valued by your father so much that he would even let you lead the way to the sacred mountain?" "That's right. There's something wrong with my brain." "I believe you." "Yang Wu, are you courting death?" "I'm an honored guest of your tribe. Don't mess around." "Humph, you'll suffer later." Yang Wu and his group were not in a hurry. They leisurely looked at the blue sky and blue sea in the sky. Looking at the clouds, accompanied by beautiful women, their mood was incomparably comfortable. Huangfu Mingyu looked at Yang Wu's leisurely appearance from time to time and gnashed her teeth. In fact, she didn't hate Yang Wu's appearance, but she hated the cold woman beside him. "This woman is so cold. He'll definitely freeze into a popsicle if he hugs her." Huangfu Mingyu muttered in her heart. After they had walked for about 2 hours, they suddenly heard the sound of horses galloping. Yang Wu swept out with his divine sense, and clearly sensed the number of people and their strength. "Great Siam monkey, quickly dismount and accept your punishment." Someone shouted in alarm. Needless to say, these people were here for Yang Wu. Chapter 272. Yang Wu was already an honored guest of the barbarian tribe, yet there were still people who dared to provoke him. It was obvious that they were looking for trouble. The group of people that came were Huangfu Luozhong, Shi Ligay, and Huyin Shilang. Behind them were more than 100 barbarians, all of whom were very young. They were all riding different kinds of mounts, and all of them had a valiant and fierce aura. These 100 barbarians surrounded Huangfu Mingyu and Yang Wu's group. This was definitely a disrespectful act. However, these young people were the most outstanding heroes of the barbarian tribe. They were the strongest warriors in the future. Their status was not ordinary, so they dared to do this without fear of being punished. "What are you doing? Hurry up and get out of the way." Huangfu Mingyu expressed her dissatisfaction with their actions. Although she really wanted to teach Yang Wu a lesson, she knew of Yang Wu's strength. She didn't want them to fail in teaching others a lesson and be taught a lesson by others instead. Sister, you could just watch. We want to teach this great Siam monkey a lesson. Huangfu Luozhong replied. He is an honored guest of our tribe. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the chief? Huangfu Mingyu said with a frown. Don't worry, we won't kill him. We want to challenge him. In our tribe, only warriors are worthy of our respect. Huangfu Luozhong replied, then looked at Yang Wu and reprimanded. Great Xiao monkey, do you dare to compete with us? If you win, we will let you go. If you lose, you will obediently get out of our grassland. No, if you lose, you can stay and be our follower. Shirley said with a sneer. That's not a bad idea. I like it. Huyin Shirlang said with a faint smile. Fight, fight, fight. The 100 or so young people around the three of them all raised the weapons in their hands and shouted in unison. They tried to use this momentum to suppress Yang Wu. You gone too far, Huangfu Mingyu shouted. She did not really order them to disperse. She simply let them compete. She also wanted to see if she could embarrass Yang Wu. Huangfu Luozhong stared at Yang Wu and shouted, Great Siam monkey, if you don't dare to accept the challenge, get lost immediately. You don't deserve to be a distinguished guest of our grassland. I'm a distinguished guest invited by your patriarch. By insulting me like this, isn't it the same as not putting your patriarch in your eyes? Yang Wu cast a sidelong glance at Huangfu Luozhong and said in a carefree manner. Yang Wu's words were extremely sharp. He directly mentioned Huangfu Zhanxiong, and it pressured the expressions of Huangfu Luozhong and the others to become unsightly. In their hearts, Huangfu Zhanxiong was a high and mighty emperor. How could they dare to be disrespectful to him? Our patriarch was only temporarily blinded by you. Shirley pointed at Yang Wu and rebuked. Oh, are you saying that your patriarch is blind? Yang Wu retorted. This time, Shirley was so angry at Yang Wu's words that he suffered internal injuries. He could not continue the conversation. If he continued, it would be a great disrespect to their patriarch. Huyin Shirlang said, Don't try to win a battle of words. If you have the ability, then compete with us. This is what a real man should do. You guys are men, but you don't know how to respect your guests. It's really disappointing. I've always heard that you barbarians are hospitable and hospitable. You treat people with sincerity, but it seems that you're just a bunch of provocative people. You're a complete barbarian. Yang Wu's words pierced straight into Huyin Shirlang's heart. Yang Wu's eloquence was not bad. After experiencing all kinds of hardships, his temperament was not something that the three youths in front of him could compare with. Every word he said struck at their hearts, leaving them speechless. Even Huangfu Mingyu felt ashamed for the three of them. At the same time, she did not know how to refute Yang Wu's words. This person is really annoying, Huangfu Mingyu muttered in her heart. In fact, she quite enjoyed Yang Wu's annoying appearance. It was as if Yang Wu's every word and action were affecting her heart. Are you going to fight or not? Huangfu Luozhong choked out this sentence after holding it in for a while. No, Yang Wu replied softly. This made Huangfu Luozhong's words feel like he had raised his fist high, but in the end, it only hit a soft flower. He had the strength, but had no way to vent it, so he was quite depressed. Great Xia coward, Shirley scolded. Great Xia coward. The surrounding people all began to jeer and scold. I said, if you scold me, it's the same as scolding your chief. Yang Wu continued to act shamelessly. This time, everyone was completely silent. The words that were about to come out of their mouths were all swallowed back. They looked as uncomfortable as they could be, as if their internal organs were about to bleed. However, if you really want to fight, it's not impossible. You have to come up with something that can move my heart. Otherwise, I won't be in the mood to play with you. Yang Wu said with a sly smile. What do you want to bet? Huangfu Luozhong asked in return. You can name whatever you want, Yang Wu said indifferently. He only wanted to play, so he wasn't very interested in the things that they had. Very well, let's discuss it. Huangfu Luozhong responded, then called Shirley and Huyin Shirlang closer to discuss in a low voice. Huangfu Mingyu scolded Yang Wu softly. You're really bad. You're not allowed to hurt them. That's not right. Right now, they're the ones who want to hurt me. Yang Wu said with an innocent expression. I don't care. In short, you're not allowed to hurt them, Huangfu Mingyu said coquettishly. She still remembered Yang Wu's ability to defeat 100 people by himself. She didn't think that Huangfu Luozhong and the others had any chance of winning. If they had used other methods to win, perhaps they would have had a little bit of hope. Huangfu Luozhong, Shi Gay, and Huyan Shilang quickly finished their discussion. Huangfu Luozhong turned to Yang Wu and said, We're willing to bet 10 bolts of cloth and 200 gold taels with you. How about that? Puffed. Yang Wu couldn't help but laugh. Then he said, Are you playing house? Huangfu Mingyu also felt embarrassed for Huangfu Luozhong and the others by saying these wagers. She couldn't help but cover her face. Huangfu Luozhong glared at Yang Wu and said, Why don't you bet and we'll follow? Okay, how about we bet 1,000 low-grade Xian spirit stones? Yang Wu replied. This time, they didn't know how to respond. Even though they were all high-level generals that didn't have much wealth. Most of the things they obtained would be given to the clan, so where would they get so many Xian spirit stones? Now, they finally knew why Yang Wu was mocking them. It was because their wagers were too shabby. You don't even have this little bit of Xian spirit stones? You have the nerve to come and challenge me? Yang Wu was a bit speechless. Damn it, if you win, I'll give you my ox-horn spear. Huangfu Luozhong steeled his heart and raised the 10-stone war spear in his hand. I can also bet my fallen moon bow. Shi Gay shouted. Then I'll bet my armor. Huyan Shilang said. They were quite angry at Yang Wu and had to get back at him. Are you crazy? Huangfu Mingyu stared at them and said. Princess Mingyu, don't try to persuade us anymore. As young warriors, we're not afraid of any battle. Huyan Shilang said with a very confident expression. Huangfu Mingyu was speechless. She couldn't persuade them anymore. Their barbarian race was a brave and aggressive race. Even if they died in battle, they would fight to the end. They definitely wouldn't lose face. You're ambitious. I'll fulfill your wish. Yang Wu said with a faint smile. Okay, then I'll talk about the rules first. I'll compete with you in the first round. Let's compete in horse racing. Huangfu Luozhong challenged. Sounds interesting. Yang Wu said. As a warrior, you must be good at riding. I believe that your great Xia also has cavalry. Do you dare to compete with me? Huangfu Luozhong said proudly. Among the younger generation, his horse racing skills weren't the best, but he was ranked in the top 3. This was also the reason why he was so confident. Let's compete. Yang Wu replied simply. Thus, Huangfu Luozhong briefly introduced the rules. In horse racing, not only was the horse racing competition about who was faster, but it was also about overcoming layers of obstacles. The winner would be the first to reach the finish line. In the process of horse racing, both sides weren't allowed to use any strength to cheat. Everything depended on the horse's skill. While Huangfu Luozhong was talking, the people around them had already set up obstacles. There were many sharp antlers in front of them, as well as some wooden stakes. They set up layers of obstacles in front of them. Even a general-level horse demon would find it difficult to easily jump over. In the distance, they set up a simple elevated platform with an embroidered ball hanging from it. One had to ride a horse and jump high to reach the embroidered ball to win. This embroidered ball was hung very high. Ordinary horse demons wouldn't be able to jump that high. Everything depended on the riding skills of the man on the horse's back. This was the horse racing competition of the grasslands. After Yang Wu glanced at him, he understood that the other party was trying to outdo him in terms of strength. The other party was not stupid. After all, even if the Xia had cavalry, there was no way to compare with the barbarians in terms of riding skills. They came prepared. It seems that they may not lose. Huangfu Mingyu secretly thought with a trace of admiration. Come, I'll show you the power of my race's horse racing. Huangfu Luozhong looked at Yang Wu confidently and said. At this time, the horse demon he was sitting on raised its front hooves high and made a series of neighs. It seemed to be quite excited. This horse demon was no ordinary horse demon. It was a wild red hair horse, which Huangfu Luozhong had spent a lot of effort to tame during one of his outings. It was several times stronger than the red hair horse he had raised in his own home. After a period of running in, he already had a close relationship with this wild red hair horse. Although he hadn't reached the realm of man and horse as one, he was already very close to it. He was confident that he could win this challenge. Are we going to use our horses? Yang Wu asked. Of course. Your dragon-blooded horse is the most honorable horse demon in my race. You already have the advantage by riding it. Don't say that I'm bullying an outsider. Huangfu Luozhong nodded and said with a smile. Okay, then let's compete. Yang Wu straightforwardly replied. He was also looking forward to this kind of game. After all, he was still only a teenager. Ready, start. Chapter 273. As the horses galloped, dust filled the air. Waves of cheers continued to ring out, making the place seem extraordinarily lively. Horse racing was a competition in the prairie, and it was also a form of tactical strength. It was one of the standards to measure the strongest warriors, and everyone loved this competition. When they saw the horse racing, they couldn't help but feel excited. At this moment, Yang Wu and Huangfu Luozhong began their sprint. They were charging towards the obstacle that was the end of the line. Yang Wu was riding on the dragon-blooded horse, a noble breed in the barbarian race. However, the dragon-blooded horse was a domesticated horse and not a wild one. Compared to Huangfu Luozhong's wild red rabbit horse, the dragon-blooded horse lacked a natural wildness. When the two of them charged out, the wild red rabbit horse displayed an extraordinary wildness. In the blink of an eye, the wild red rabbit horse was half a body ahead of the dragon-blooded horse. Its galloping hooves brought up clouds of dust. The dragon-blooded horse had its own pride, so it naturally wouldn't admit defeat. It continued to gallop. The two horses galloped side by side at lightning speed. Soon, the two of them encountered the first obstacle. There were antlers within 100 feet of them, and if the horse demon couldn't jump over those antlers, it would injure the horse demon and affect its speed. This was the true test of their horsemanship. Monkey of the great Xia dynasty, I'll show you what true horsemanship is. Huangfu Luozhong was already a horse's length ahead of Yang Wu. He turned around and looked at Yang Wu provocatively. Immediately after, he and the wild red hare had already arrived in front of the first row of antlers. Pulling the reins, the wild red hare's front hooves leaped high into the air. Its body soared, and it nimbly jumped over the antlers. This was a very beautiful leap. Nice! The barbarians cheered for Huangfu Luozhong. Yang Wu and his dragon-blooded horse also charged over, and Yang Wu followed suit. He pulled the reins and jumped over the antlers with the dragon-blooded horse. The dragon-blooded horse was a demon general, so its ability to leap wasn't bad. It leaped high into the air. However, its movements were not in sync with Yang Wu's. Yang Wu almost fell off the horse's back. This was the first time Lin Yan had suffered setback. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and returned to the dragon-blooded horse's back. However, the dragon-blooded horse was almost sent flying by the force of his fall. Woo-woo! The barbarian tribe members let out mocking laughter. Ah, the monkeys of Great Xia don't know how to ride horses, Serene said with a laugh. That's right. Luo Zhong will definitely win this battle. Hui and Shirlang nodded. That's enough. You're not allowed to scold our esteemed guests. This is not how our clan treats our guests. Huangfu Mingyu reprimanded. I'll listen to the princess. Serene didn't want to upset Huangfu Mingyu, so he nodded obediently. During the competition, Huangfu Luozhong and his mount had already jumped over 5 layers of obstacles in a row. The distance between the obstacles behind them was getting closer and closer. They had to jump over 12 layers of obstacles in order to successfully reach the end. After Yang Wu suffered setback, he became more cautious and slowed down. He only managed to jump over 3 obstacles, and the obstacles behind were even harder to deal with. The wooden stakes were constantly swinging, and if he wasn't careful, they would fall on him and the dragon-blooded horse. Huangfu Luozhong's mocking laughter could be heard. Great Xia monkey, give up struggling. Be careful not to fall and turn a dog shit. Ha! Yang Wu was indeed a little sad. He thought that riding a horse was a competition of speed. Even if there were obstacles, the dragon-blooded horse would be able to deal with them easily. But now, it seemed that it wasn't the case. Dragon-blooded horse, is there any way to surpass them? Yang Wu asked as he caressed the dragon-blooded horse's neck. The dragon-blooded horse was running with all its might as it carefully dealt with the obstacles. When it heard Yang Wu's question, it anxiously replied, "What can I do? I don't ride these things often, but the other party's horse clearly does. I can't compare to it. You can't be so unambitious. We have to win," Yang Wu said with certainty. "I don't want to lose," the dragon-blooded horse gloomily replied. Yang Wu quickly racked his brain. He had to think of a way to win. He couldn't lose here. At this moment, even if he had the ability, he couldn't let the dragon-blooded horse fly and surpass the other party. Horsemanship was about horsemanship and experience. It was not something that could be solved by pure strength. Seeing that Huang Fuluozhong had already run past the seventh obstacle, Yang Wu had a feeling of giving up. He thought to himself, "I've made the mistake of underestimating the enemy." Helplessly, Lin Yin could only circulate his energy to see if he could resonate with the dragon-blooded horse. With his senses, the obstacles ahead were too easy. He could easily jump over them, but it was a little difficult for the dragon-blooded horse. If he could transfer his energy to the dragon-blooded horse to increase its senses, it might be possible for him to catch up to them. The Supreme Nine profound arts circulated in his body, but it couldn't connect with the dragon-blooded horse at all. Thereafter, he tried to use the dragon turtle water-suppressing stance to see if it would work. This time, it really did work. The dragon turtle water-suppressing stance was meant to absorb the water from the ground. The dragon-blooded horse that he was riding on had a trace of dragon's blood and water as a bridge to connect him to the ground. Although the absorption of water was greatly weakened, it still existed. Dragon-blooded horse, try to sense your feet. I'll lend you a hand to win this competition, Yang Wu said with excitement. The dragon-blooded horse had become Yang Wu's bridge to the dragon turtle water-suppressing stance. Naturally, it could feel that its four legs had become lighter. It was as if there was some kind of energy being poured into its hooves, allowing it to gallop faster than usual. "Watch me." The dragon-blooded horse seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. Its speed and strength had increased by a lot. Its body had also become lighter, allowing it to gallop and dodge. All of this was due to the connection between Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse. It was as if the two of them had a common consciousness. Yang Wu's senses had also increased, allowing the dragon-blooded horse to face the obstacles with ease. Dong! 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 Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse quickly charged through 2 rows of obstacles. Their movements were carefree, and they were no longer in a sorry state like before. Instead, they looked like they were about to catch up. The barbarian race was shocked. They never expected that Yang Wu would be able to find a connection with the dragon-blooded horse in such a short period of time. How fast was his comprehension ability? To them, he was a natural-born knight. Isn't it a little too late to get used to the dragon-blooded horse now? Gay sneered. Indeed, if it was like this from the start, it would be hard to say who would win. Huyan Shilang nodded his head. Huangfu Mingyu didn't express her opinion. She vaguely felt that the rider behind seemed to be close to becoming one with the horse. This was the best equestrian skill of the barbarian tribe and the realm they pursued. Generally speaking, to reach this realm, one must cultivate a deep relationship with the mount and have an excellent tacit understanding with it. Only then could one achieve this step. Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse had only been together for a few days, so how could there be any relationship between them? She found it hard to believe that Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse had become one with the horse. Indeed, Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse had become one with the dragon-blooded horse. He had refined the blood essence of the old tortoise and the ice serpent. Coupled with the dragon-tortoise sea-flipping art, he was able to stimulate the aura of the serpent dragon. This aura was compatible with the trace of dragon blood in the depths of the dragon-blooded horse's body. This was the reason why the dragon-blooded horse was able to absorb the water underground to help it run faster. As Lin Yin got more and more used to this feeling, he increased the speed and strength of his absorption. The water-profound aura was like adding springs to the hooves of the dragon-blooded horse, helping it to gallop faster and faster. Huang Fuluozhong and his wild crimson hair had already passed 11 obstacles. They were very close to the final obstacle, and they weren't far from the finish line. He saw the dawn of victory and turned around to look at Yang Wu. Just when he wanted to mock Yang Wu, he realized that Yang Wu had already reached the 10th obstacle. So fast. Damn it! Huangfu Luozhong cursed inwardly. Suddenly, a wooden stake smashed towards him in midair. Fortunately, his reaction was not bad. His body fell backwards like an arch bridge and narrowly avoided the attack. Even so, he was still shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. If he had been a little slower, he would have been smashed. The moment he made a small mistake, Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse closed the distance between them. Huangfu Luozhong didn't dare to be distracted. He whipped the wild crimson hair and roared, "Faster! Faster!" He absolutely didn't want to lose this competition. Not only would he lose his combat weapon, but it was also a matter of dignity. His equestrian skills were well known among the younger generation. If he were to lose to someone from Great Xia, where would he put his face? The wild crimson hair was indeed powerful. It grew up in the wild, and its speed wasn't something an ordinary horse demon could compare to. Under Huangfu Luozhong's whipping, its speed increased by a lot. Yang Wu didn't have the time to pay attention to Huangfu Luozhong. He transferred the dragon-blooded horse's body with the dragon-turtle water-suppressing stance and absorbed a lot of energy. However, it wouldn't be easy for him to obtain the embroidered ball when he was lagging behind. He needed to be faster. At this moment, he circulated the Supreme 9 Mysteries formula and combined it with the dragon-turtle water-suppressing stance to absorb more energy. This was a method that he had been using all along. Sure enough, after he did that, the dragon-turtle water-suppressing stance's ability to absorb water soared once again. It was more than 10 times faster than before. "Hey, master, I feel like I'm flying." After the dragon-blooded horse let out a long neigh, its four hooves seemed to have soared into the sky. Its speed soared to the limit, and many obstacles were no longer a problem. "Haha, the embroidered ball is mine." Huangfu Luozhong rode on the wild crimson hair and leaped high into the sky. He was extremely excited and wanted to retrieve the embroidered ball that was hanging on the elevated platform. But at this moment, a shadow rushed over from behind and landed on top of their heads one step faster. Chapter 274. A Rider on a Horse. It was such a breathtaking scene that all the barbarians exclaimed in surprise. Huangfu Luozhong and his wild red rabbit horse were already jumping. Just as they were getting closer and closer to the embroidered ball, Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse jumped over them. The dragon-blooded horse looked as though it was riding on top of Huangfu Luozhong's head. Huangfu Luozhong was so frightened that he fell off his wild red rabbit horse. The wild red rabbit horse was startled and lost its balance. Bang! A cloud of dust was kicked up from the ground by the man and the horse. It was so eye-catching. However, it couldn't be compared to the man and the horse. It looked as though they were flying in the sky. Everyone was completely dumbfounded. They had seen countless horse riding competitions, but this scene was definitely the most breathtaking and unforgettable. When the man and his horse landed on the ground again, a cloud of dust rose from the ground. When the dust disappeared, the man and his horse were revealed. The man was swinging the embroidered ball in his hand and had an incomparably brilliant smile on his face. He was so intoxicated. "This person for Great Xia is so handsome." A young barbarian woman couldn't help but exclaim. "Yeah, his horsemanship might not be unparalleled, but it can be compared to the best in our tribe. He's a true horseman, and he's indeed charming." A man on a horse is so charming. These barbarian women were enthusiastic and unrestrained. They weren't stingy with their praises for Yang Wu. Huangfu Mingyu couldn't help but praise in her heart. What a beautiful victory. How'd he do it? Shirley and Huyin Shirlang were speechless. They didn't know what to say. Huangfu Luozhong had already done his best, and they couldn't blame him. It was all because of Yang Wu and the dragon-blooded horse. If they were in his shoes, they would have lost as well. Huangfu Luozhong climbed up from the ground in a sorry state. He used his whip to whip the wild red rabbit horse and scolded, "You useless horse! You made me lose." Whoosh whoosh. The pitiful wild red rabbit horse was beaten black and blue by Huangfu Luozhong. It could only let out mournful cries. Yang Wu rode the dragon-blooded horse forward and sneered, Your horsemanship is useless, and you're pushing the blame onto the horse. You're really trash. I was just careless. How can I lose to a monkey like you? Great Xia. Let's have another match. Huang Luozhong looked at Yang Wu's words. He looked at Yang's words. Luozhong's words. I don't have time to waste with you. I won this round, and I don't want your weapon. Just give me your horse, Yang Wu said coldly. After that, he rode the dragon-blooded horse back to where everyone was. Clap, clap. The surrounding barbarian women applauded in unison. The other men also applauded for Yang Wu. It was as if they were welcoming the return of a hero. Such an outstanding horseman was worthy of their respect. They were amazed by your horsemanship. You're pretty good. Huangfu Mingyu took the initiative to explain to Yang Wu. Yang Wu waved his hand and smiled. My horsemanship can only be considered average. Shirley and Huyin Shirlong's expressions turned even uglier. If his horsemanship was considered average, wasn't he mocking their horsemanship? I'll have a second match with you. Shirley challenged Yang Wu. How do you want to compete? Yang Wu asked. I'll compete with you in archery. Shirley said faintly as he took down the fallen moon bow from his back. The origin of the falling moon bow was extraordinary. It was an ancient bow, and only because the body of the bow had been damaged did its power decrease. However, it was still able to display might comparable to a royal armament. Ordinary people would find it difficult to draw it. Shirley was a youth who had reached the second stage of brute force. He relied on his second stage brute force to draw the fallen moon bow. Using a bow didn't mean that one was proficient in drawing it. One had to be able to shoot the arrow accurately. Shirley's archery skills were unparalleled. He had the strength to shoot a willow leaf from 100 steps away. In this aspect, he wasn't inferior to Huangfu Luozhong in terms of horsemanship. All right, then let's compete in archery. Yang Wu nodded and said. Archery was his opponent's forte, but it seemed a little weak to him. He had used archery before, but he definitely wasn't proficient in it. Even so, he still accepted the challenge. This was called losing the battle, but not losing the battle. Moreover, he was a king-level warrior. How could he lose to a mere barbarian general? This was his unique pride. Everything could wait until the competition started. Ordinary archery is boring. This time, let's compete in shooting the wild geese in the sky. We'll each shoot 3 arrows. Whoever shoots down the most wild geese wins. What do you think? Shirley said as he pointed at the wild geese flying in the sky from time to time. Yang Wu looked up and nodded. He didn't have any objections. Then I'll start first. I'll show you the power of my tribe's invincible archery. Shirley said faintly as he released a burst of confidence. Then, he rode forward on his mount and pulled out an arrow. As his mount galloped, he drew the fallen moon bow to its fullest in one breath. His heroic posture was indeed beautiful. The eyes of many barbarian women lit up. Shooting moon tactic. Shirley's spiritual energy merged with the fallen moon bow. He focused all his attention on the wild geese in the sky and shot the first arrow. Whoosh! This arrow contained an extremely domineering second layer of brute force. It was like a meteor streaking across the sky. In an instant, it had already reached the sky and shot toward the wild geese. However, this wasn't the most amazing thing. It was that he shot 2 more arrows in succession. He didn't even look at the result of the first arrow. He shot all 3 arrows in succession. The last 2 arrows seemed to have caught up with the first arrow and hit the wild geese. Screech! Screech! The wild geese cried out in alarm. Several wild geese fell from the sky. The remaining wild geese in the sky were frightened and quickly scattered. Nice! The barbarians all exclaimed on behalf of Shirley. These 3 arrows really contained the essence of archery. Although it wasn't the same as shooting 3 arrows with 1 bow, it wasn't much worse. Moreover, to shoot 3 arrows in such a short period of time was not something an ordinary person could do. One's arm strength, eyesight, and movements had to be completely coordinated in order to shoot such a shot. Shirley was quite satisfied with this shot. He shouted to the others, "Who's going to bring the wild geese back for me?" "I'll go," a young barbarian exclaimed and rushed over on his mount. Soon, The young barbarian brought back all the wild geese that had been shot down. He looked at Sir Legay with a look of admiration and said, "Legay, you're really amazing. You shot down 5 wild geese with 3 arrows." After saying this, he showed everyone the corpses of the wild geese that he had brought back. There were indeed 5 wild geese. All of them had been killed by arrows that pierced through their abdomens. Amazing. 2 wild geese with 1 arrow. This kind of skill is worthy of being called the little archer god. Too domineering. These wild geese are unusual. Their bodies are so tough that ordinary arrows can't penetrate their bodies. Legay actually shot 2 wild geese with 1 arrow. It's perfect. Yes, in time, Legay's archery skills will be enough to shock our tribe. TSK, TSK. Let's see how that great Siam monkey will win this time. A wave of praise sounded. Sir Legay was in an incomparably good mood. His chin was almost raised to the sky. Not bad, Legay. Huang Fu Mingyu couldn't help but give him a thumbs up and praise him. Haha, it's still a little lacking. The last arrow was a little off. Otherwise, I could have shot down 6 wild geese with 3 arrows. That would have been perfect. Sir Legay laughed. His words seemed modest, but in fact, his complacency was written all over his face. He was confident that his 3 arrows were comparable to those of veteran archers who had practiced for decades. He didn't believe that Yang Wu had archery skills like his. "We'll definitely win this round," Huyan Shilang said indifferently. Huang Fu Luozhong returned. His mood had stabilized a little. He said, "As long as we win the next 2 rounds, we won't lose face." Huyan Shilang secretly despised Huang Fu Luozhong for no reason. He felt that this guy was using them to elevate himself. "It's your turn, great Xiaoman." Sir Legay provoked Yang Wu. Yang Wu replied, "There's no hurry. Let me look for my bow first." "You don't even have a bow. Do you want me to ask someone to lend you one?" Sir Legay sneered. A person who didn't even have a bow naturally wasn't good at using a bow. Sir Legay felt that he was 100% sure to win. "I'll lend you my bow," Huang Fu Mingyu said after hesitating for a moment. Yang Wu waved his hand and said, "No need. Isn't my bow here?" After he finished speaking, a bow suddenly appeared in his hand. This was a trick of the universe space. Those barbarians who didn't know what was going on thought that Yang Wu was using some kind of camouflage. Only a few people could think of the possibility that Yang Wu had a universal item on him. "Is this Aurora's horn bow?" Sir Legay looked at the bow in Yang Wu's hand, narrowed his eyes, and asked, "This is my spoil of war, so it naturally belongs to me." Yang Wu looked calmly at Sir Legay and said faintly, "Bastard." Sir Legay shouted with killing intent in his eyes. Aurora was a valiant general of the barbarian tribe. Unfortunately, he was killed by the Great Xia people half a year ago, along with 1,000 barbarian soldiers. When news of this spread, the people of the tribe were saddened. Sir Legay had a good relationship with Aurora and had once competed with Aurora in archery. Now that he saw Yang Wu take out this hornbow, how could not be angry? Yang Wu ignored Sir Legay's words and galloped away on the dragon-blooded horse, waiting for the next wave of wild geese to fly over. On the grassland in spring, wild geese were flying south. It wouldn't be long before more of them flew over. Sure enough, from a higher position, a row of geese flew over in a row. After Yang Wu glanced at them, he didn't shoot an arrow immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes, as if he was nourishing his eyes or waiting for the wild geese to come closer before shooting. Many barbarians were puzzled. They were all guessing what kind of tricks this young man from Great Xia was going to play. Suddenly, Yang Wu opened his eyes. His eyes were like 2 sharp blades as they landed on the row of wild geese. He quickly knocked an arrow, and the hornbow was instantly drawn to a full moon. The arrow burst out. Whoosh! Chapter 275. When the arrow was shot, it was as bright as the sun and moon in the sky. The domineering blue mystical aura was incomparably dazzling. It drew a beautiful rainbow in the air as it shot towards a flock of geese. Screech! Screech! Many of the geese were frightened and began to cry out in panic. At the same time, one by one, the geese began to fall from the sky. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They couldn't believe that Yang Wu was able to shoot down so many geese with one arrow. Yang Wu didn't wait for them to come back to their senses. He put away his oxhorn bow and turned around to face Shirley. "You've lost." "Bullshit. You only shot one arrow and you're saying that I lost? Are you crazy?" Shirley cursed. "We're competing in archery. Isn't the number of geese I can shoot to determine the winner?" Yang Wu asked. "That's right. Don't tell me you think that you can shoot down more geese with one arrow than I can." "What a joke," Shirley replied. "Whether it's a joke or not, you'll know when you get someone to pick up the geese." Yang Wu was too lazy to argue with Shirley. "Someone come and pick up the geese he shot down," Shirley shouted. He absolutely didn't believe that Yang Wu could shoot down so many geese with one arrow. What he saw just now was definitely an illusion. The young barbarian rushed out again and went to pick up the geese that Yang Wu had shot down. Soon, the young barbarian returned. He looked at Yang Wu with eyes full of awe. He replied, "I've already picked them up. Quickly count how many geese he shot down with one arrow." Shirley shouted. The young barbarian hesitated for a moment and said, "6 in total." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place fell silent. Shirley had a look of disbelief on his face. He asked again loudly, "Did you not eat? Speak louder. I didn't hear clearly how many geese he shot down." The young barbarian was frightened by the Shirley and quickly shouted, "There are 6 of them in total." Shirley was dumbfounded by his words. The others were in an uproar. "Is this true? I thought I was seeing things. It shouldn't be fake, right? Alu has already lifted up all 6 geese. Is that guy even human? How did he manage to shoot down 6 geese with one arrow? The ground is 4,000 feet above the ground, and the geese that Billig shot down just now is more than 100 feet higher. I saw just now. His archery skills are quite perfect, comparable to Liger's. Perhaps his strength is even more terrifying than Liger's. Is he really a teenager?" All the barbarians found it hard to believe that this was done by a youngster. Even an ordinary king-level expert might not be able to shoot 6 birds with one arrow. This wasn't just a matter of strength. It was also a matter of grasping one's position, sharp eyesight, and shooting skills. Only then could one accomplish such a pioneering feat to them. This was a godly skill. It must be fake. Huang Fu Luo Zhong cried out in alarm. Then, he dashed towards the young barbarian. He wanted to examine the 6 wild geese. Huyi and Shirlang also followed along. There were even more barbarians who had gathered together. They all wanted to determine whether all of this was real or not. Yang Wu's arrow really made them doubt their lives. Yang Wu, on the other hand, calmly allowed them to examine it. He was very confident in his arrow. When Shirley shot, he had been watching Shirley's movements and imprinting them in his mind. When he shot, the god's court flower was meditating repeatedly. Finally, it merged with the soul and body and shot that arrow. He secretly learned it on the spot. This was the strongest imitation ability of the god's court flower. Even if he couldn't understand the essence of the arrow, he could use other advantages to make up for it. All the meridians and acupoints in his body were opened, and his potential talent was unlocked. His legs had wind god's legs, and his arms had extraordinary arm strength. It could be said that his physical strength wasn't inferior to brute force. The power of his eyes was comparable to that of clairvoyance. He had already seen the order of the geese and used his advantages to shoot through 6 of them. This was the result of him suppressing his strength. If he released his king's strength, this arrow wouldn't be as simple as 6 geese. The barbarians examined the bodies of the wild geese and found that they had indeed been pierced by arrows. Blood was still seeping out from the wounds. There was no way that this was fake. Moreover, there were so many people present. So how could Yang Wu fake it? Unless they were blind, they just didn't believe that this was the truth. At this moment, everyone was unable to describe their feelings. If it were their own people, they would definitely be happy. However, this was a person from the Great Xia, their enemy. Having such superb archery skills was indeed a huge blow to them. The barbarian women looked at Yang Wu with sparkling eyes. They liked warriors, especially such an all-round warrior. Huang Fu Mingyu asked Yang Wu softly, "How did you do it?" "I accidentally did it," Yang Wu said casually. "Who are you trying to fool?" You must have learned excellent archery. Huang Fu Mingyu scolded. You, give me your bow. Yang Wu didn't have time to pay attention to Huang Fu Mingyu. He pointed at Shi Ligay and shouted. Shi Ligay's face was as pale as his parents'. He reluctantly untied his fallen moon bow. He closed his eyes and murmured, "Fallen moon bow, I'm sorry." After he finished speaking, he threw the bow towards Yang Wu. Yang Wu easily caught the fallen moon bow in his hand. He didn't even look at it as he casually slung it over his back and said, "Well, is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? Hurry up. I'm afraid the sun is about to set." The sun had already begun to set in the west. The bright red sunset was incomparably beautiful and intoxicating. When the sunlight shone on everyone, it was as if they were wearing a layer of red clothing. "It's my turn for the final battle," Huyan Shilang said faintly as he faced Yang Wu. "How do you want to compete?" Yang Wu asked. "We've already competed in equestrian skills and archery skills. Now it's time to compete in combat strength," Huyan Shilang said with a strong desire for battle. "Then there's no need for this battle," Yang Wu said as he spread out his hands. "Oh, are you ready to give up? Then it's your loss." Huyan Shilang sneered. "Why are you so confident that it's my loss?" Yang Wu said faintly. A pair of 3 feet long blue profound wings quickly appeared on his body. It was so dazzling and stunning. At this moment, all the barbarians' mouths were wide open. They were so shocked that they couldn't speak. They saw that Yang Wu was only a 17 or 18-year-old youth. No matter how talented he was, he should only be in the general realm. Who would have thought that Yang Wu was actually a youth king? This made them completely dumbfounded. On the contrary, Huang Fu Luozhong and Shi Ligay suddenly felt much better. It was not unjust that they had lost to a youth king. The two of them sought comfort in their hearts, and it was really quite good. Huyan Shilang, on the other hand, was greatly shocked. He was already a rare young genius in the barbarian tribe, and had been valued by the Sacred Flame sect. When they recruited new disciples, he could become an official disciple of the Sacred Flame sect. However, who would have thought that Yang Wu, who was about the same age as him, was already a youth king? How could he continue this battle? He didn't think that he could defeat his opponent with his 3 layers of brute force. Huang Fu Mingyu's cherry mouth was wide open. She had always known that Yang Wu was very strong, but she didn't expect him to be this strong. She was really shocked. Other people struggled bitterly for many years and still couldn't become a king. However, Yang Wu had become a king just like that. His talent could be called monstrous. Even among those transcendent forces, he was considered an extraordinary existence. "It's really boring to play house with you guys. Give me the stakes." Yang Wu withdrew his shin wings and said as he stretched his body. The other party kept forcing him, and he really didn't have the patience to continue playing. He had to show his strength and give his so-called barbarian tribe geniuses a blow. Otherwise, they would really think that he was a sick cat. "You're a king, and you still want to compete with us? You're cheating," Huang Fu Luozhong shouted as he pointed at Yang Wu. Shi Ligay also said, "That's right. You have such strength to compete with us. It's an unfair victory. Give me back my fallen moon bow." Hee. Why didn't the 3 of you say that it was an unfair victory when you challenged me? Why didn't you say that it was an unfair victory when you competed with me in your tribe specialty? Now that you've lost, you're blaming me for being stronger than you. That's right, I'm stronger than you. But did you ask me about my strength before? Did you think that I was easy to bully, so you came to bully me? You guys are really trash. Yang Wu sneered and shouted loudly. After he finished speaking, Huang Fu Luozhong and Shi Ligay's faces turned red. They didn't know how to respond at all. Yang Wu was speaking the truth. He wanted to dismount them from the start. "Let me tell you another fact. My victory has nothing to do with my strength. I didn't use any of my true strength to compete with you guys. When it comes to horse racing, it's not something that can be won with Xianqi, right? Shooting down 6 wild geese with 1 arrow isn't something that can be won with just a burst of strength, right? You guys should know this better than I do." Yang Wu continued to rub salt into their wounds. This made Huang Fu Luozhong and Shi Ligay feel so embarrassed that they wanted to die. If there was a chance, they would just crawl into the ground and die on the spot. The other barbarians understood that Yang Wu's words made sense. Their competition couldn't be won by pure combat strength. In other words, he had used his strength and skills to suppress the geniuses of their tribe openly. There was no exaggeration at all. "I still want to fight with you." Hu Yinshilang stared at Yang Wu and shouted, "What makes you think you can fight with me?" Yang Wu asked, "I'll fight with you in the same realm. If you can beat me, I'll still give you the armor. Forget it. You'll still think that I'm bullying you. Why don't I not use Xianxi and just fight with you using my physical strength? If you can win, not only will I return the bet to you, I'll also give you 1,000 low-grade Xian Spirit Stones." Okay. Chapter 276. No matter what level a warrior was at, once they suppressed all of their Xianxi, their strength would inevitably be greatly reduced. If it was light, their strength would be reduced by half, and if it was heavy, they would have less than 1/5 of their combat strength left. Warriors cultivated by absorbing the Xianxi of heaven and earth, and then using the Xianxi of heaven and earth to erupt with incomparably shocking combat strength. This was especially true after reaching the Earthsea realm. Yang Wu was prepared to suppress all of his Xianxi and only use his physical strength to fight Hu Yinshilang. In the eyes of the barbarians, this could be said to be very sincere. The barbarians were not strong in other aspects, but their brute force was the strongest. If an ordinary King Realm warrior did not use his Xianxi, they could beat a King Realm warrior with their bare hands. This was the confidence of the barbarians. Hu Yinshilang was even more confident that he could win against Yang Wu without using his Xianxi. This was much easier to deal with than if the opponent suppressed his Xianxi to the same level. The crowd cleared out a space for Yang Wu and Hu Yinshilang. The barbarians once again cheered for Hu Yinshilang. They very much hoped that Hu Yinshilang would be able to win this round. They did not want to lose face in front of their own home. Only Huangfu Mingyu felt that there was still no chance of victory in this battle. She saw that Yang Wu was too calm, and his eyes were clearly looking down on Hu Yinshilang. She sighed in her heart and said, "This face is going to be lost all the way to your grandmother's house." On the battlefield, Yang Wu and Hu Yinshilang were already facing each other. Hu Yinshilang asked, "What weapon are you using? Why would I need a weapon to deal with you?" Yang Wu retorted, "Fine, then I won't use a weapon either. I'll beat you with my bare hands." Hu Yinshilang could not stand Yang Wu's disdainful gaze. After a loud roar, he took heavy steps and madly rushed towards Yang Wu. Barbaric Elephant Fist. Hu Yinshilang seemed to have transformed into a barbarian elephant as he charged towards Yang Wu. His entire body was covered in a layer of earthen yellow light. That powerful brute force swept out in all directions, causing sand and stones to fly and the tender grass to be cut. His brute force was astonishing. Hu Yinshilang had already activated the first level of brute force. With his realm as a top-notch brute general, he could easily send a great Xia general flying. Yang Wu indeed did not intend to use the slightest bit of profound qi in his body, completely suppressing the power of the medicinal pill. Even so, his eyesight would not be affected in any way. Seeing Hu Yinshilang's fist coming at him, he did not dodge. Instead, he took a step forward and threw out a straight punch. This fist did not overflow with the slightest bit of profound energy. It was pure strength. Bang! The two fists collided and produced a dull sound. The barbarians were all staring at this moment, longing to see Yang Wu being sent flying by Hu Yinshilang. Unfortunately, the reality was not as they expected. The one who was sent flying was Hu Yinshilang. His body staggered back more than 30 meters and directly fell to the ground. "You only have this little bit of strength," Yang Wu said with extreme disdain. "Ah, I must defeat you." Hu Yinshilang roared crazily as he shouted. In the next moment, he once again madly rushed over. The grassland was trampled into deep pits by him. Another shadow of a barbaric bull appeared on his body. Compared to before, his strength had increased by at least 1 or 2 times. The second level of brute force, barbaric bull rush. This time, Yang Wu stood in his original position without moving. His eyes were unblinkingly watching Hu Yinshilang's attack. When his opponent was about to hit him, he once again made his move. Uppercut. This time, Yang Wu's fist went from bottom to top and directly hit the barbaric bull's chin. That seemingly small fist was filled with boundless strength. On the spot, the barbaric bull was sent flying backwards. Bang! Huyin Shurlong's skin was thick and his flesh was thick. However, when he fell to the ground, it still hurt quite a bit. His chin was even bleeding. Many barbarian generals felt sorry for him. In their eyes, Yang Wu was like a mountain that could not be conquered. It's better to admit defeat. One of the barbarians sighed softly and said. The others also expressed their agreement. They were not on the same level at all. There was no way to fight. Huyin Shurlong's fighting strength was enough to crush the younger generation. However, in front of this youth from Great Xia, he was unable to withstand a single blow. This caused a great impact on their hearts. They had always thought that the people from Great Xia were weak and that any one of them could fight 1 against 5. Now, they felt that it would not be difficult for the other party to fight 1 against 5 of them. I haven't lost yet, and it's impossible for me to lose. Take my last punch. Huyin Shurlang did a carp somersault. After bouncing up, he activated all of his strength. The muscles on his body bulged, and his entire body seemed to have grown a lot taller. The balls of brute force became even more vigorous, causing the surrounding dust and withered grass to splatter everywhere. This was the 3rd level of brute force Eugene. Barbaric Tiger Kill. Huyin Shurlang seemed to have transformed into a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain, wanting to devour all living things. This strength was much more tyrannical than the previous 2 moves. It was indeed the ultimate strength of a top-notch barbarian general. Even an ordinary king would not dare to underestimate this move. Yang Wu stretched his muscles and got into a simple horse stance. The moment Huyin Shurlong's attack arrived, he threw out a whip fist. Yang Wu's body had been tempered many times and reached a stage where it was spotless. He had even been burned by fire and struck by lightning. He was already unimaginably tyrannical. When he used his Xian Qi, he could even defeat a high-level king. Now, even without using his Xian Qi, he could kill an ordinary primary king. It was because of this that he looked down on Huyin Shurlang. Bang! This whip fist was full of strength. Even 1,000-stone rock would be smashed into powder. The ferocious barbarian tiger fell to the ground and could no longer struggle to get up. The strength of this fist had reached 300 ding, and that was not the limit of his fist strength. Although Huyin Shurlong's 3rd layer brute force was frightening, it was still far from 300 ding of strength. At best, it could reach 250 ding of strength. There was a difference of 50 ding of strength that was difficult to close. This was enough to defeat Huyin Shurlang. Yang Wu retracted his fist and said indifferently, "Let's call a day." He then ignored Huyin Shurlang and returned to his dragon-blooded horse to ride with Meng Bingxue. He then said, "That horse and the fallen moon bow on my back are my spoils of war. As for his armor, you can keep it. Treat it as a greeting gift from me." After saying that, he led Meng Bingxue towards the setting sun. The setting sun that was about to set, as well as his proud and aloof figure, formed a unique scenery. It was really beautiful and very shocking. Let's go. Let's continue our journey. Huangfu Mingyu came back to her senses and said to the people around her. She then looked at Huangfu Luozhong and said, "Leave your horse. We can't be sore losers, right?" What else could Huangfu Luozhong say? The 3 of them had lost without any suspense. They could only accept this reality. Fortunately, they didn't gamble with their lives. Huangfu Mingyu sent people to carry the injured red hair and followed Yang Wu to Mount Barbarian God. The remaining 100 or so young barbarians could only watch them leave. They didn't follow them. After a long time, Huyin Shurlang got up from the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood and said, "I lost." Unfortunately, Yang Wu was already far away and didn't hear him. That guy isn't human. Shurlagay couldn't help but curse. Yes, at least I don't believe he's from the Great Xia. Huangfu Luozhong nodded. Night gradually fell. Gusts of cold wind blew over the grassland. The temperature difference between day and night was still very distinct. Yang Wu and his party didn't rush to Mount Barbarian God. If they didn't fly, it would take them at least a day to reach Mount Barbarian God. When they set off, it was already noon. They were delayed by Huangfu Luozhong, Shi Ligay, and Huyan Shilang until the evening. They couldn't reach Mount Barbarian God and had to set up camp in a shelter. They would rest for the night and continue their journey tomorrow. There were about 30 people in their party. They simply set up camp and found a lot of dry wood and hay. They gathered around a bonfire and took out a few dried lambs to roast and eat. They always brought some horse milk wine with them. The first thing they did wasn't to toast the princess. Instead, they gave it to Yang Wu. Yang Wu was stunned at first. Then, he looked at Huangfu Mingyu, who was sitting next to the bonfire. He didn't understand what these barbarians meant. Shouldn't they be toasting each other with wine? Why did they give him the wine that they drank first? Wasn't this too impolite? This is the custom of my tribe. It means that they are willing to share wine and food with you and treat you as a friend or a warrior. If you don't drink their wine, it means that you don't want to be their friend and don't need their help. They will be very sad and will draw a clear line between you and them. Huangfu Mingyu explained. I see. Yang Wu suddenly understood. He took the wine from the barbarians and drank it in big mouthfuls. Everyone here gave him a bottle of horse milk wine. He didn't refuse any of them and drank a big mouthful from every bag. Finally, Huangfu Mingyu also brought a bag of horse milk wine in front of him. He was stunned. You want to drink it too? Yang Wu didn't mind, but the one in front of him was a woman. He couldn't help but hesitate. What? Are you looking down on me? Huangfu Mingyu slightly raised her chin and asked. Yang Wu shook his head lightly, grabbed Huangfu Mingyu's wineskin, and gulped down the hummus in large mouthfuls. Not only that, he finished the entire wineskin in one breath. He even proudly shook the wineskin and said, Now it's enough. Huangfu Mingyu looked at Yang Wu and was completely dumbfounded. The others loudly exclaimed, Good. Following that, a round of applause rang out, and the atmosphere became even more lively. What are you looking at? Didn't you ask me to drink? Now that you've finished drinking, do you feel bad? Yang Wu looked at Huangfu Mingyu, who was in a daze, and said, No, after you finish drinking my wine, you're going to marry me. Huangfu Mingyu said blankly, PFFF. The wine that Yang Wu had just drunk suddenly surged up, and he spat out a mouthful of wine. Chapter 277. Under the night sky, a bonfire was dancing like a sprite. A group of people were singing and dancing around the bonfire. Song after song filled with lofty sentiments resounded throughout the wilderness. It was so pleasing to the ears. The songs of the grasslands were passionate and unrestrained, just like their girls. They would never beat around the bush for the person they liked and would boldly express their feelings, unlike the reserved people of Great Xia. The men of the barbarian tribe were the same. They would express their deep love for the girl they loved with songs and bravery. Love between a man and a woman was always direct and straightforward. Only after true love would there be lingering feelings and tenderness. Yang Wu had met a love-struck fool like Nan Runin, but her straightforwardness was different from that of the barbarian girls. Nan Runin was more infatuated with worship, while the barbarian girls were more appreciative of love and would only express their feelings. In the past, Yang Wu didn't know that little man was a barbarian, but he could still feel a trace of straightforwardness in her shyness. Her words, I want to protect the young master, would never be forgotten and would always warm his heart. The girl in front of him wasn't little man, but she looked exactly the same as little man. Her words, You're going to marry me, were incomparably valiant and made Yang Wu spit on the spot. Huangfu Mingyu was sprayed in the face by Yang Wu, but she still maintained a sluggish look, allowing the horse milk to drip from her face, as if her mind had wandered off and she didn't know what to do. Yang Wu hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry. Then, he reached out to wipe Huangfu Mingyu's face, but before his hand touched her face, Huangfu Mingyu grabbed his hand and said, You're going to marry me. Are you crazy? Yang Wu asked, stunned. You're the crazy one. You drank all my wine. Huangfu Mingyu responded. You told me to drink, but I didn't tell you to finish it. I've never seen someone as stingy as you. If you drink it all, I'll compensate you with another bag. Could it be that your hummus is different from the rest? If you're not different, you'll have to compensate me for the rest of your life. Is there anything wrong with your head? You're the one with a problem in the head. Any man who drinks a woman's hummus must love her for the rest of his life and take care of her for the rest of her life. This is the rule of our tribe. Puff. Yang Wu was so scared that he fell to the ground on the spot. He felt as if he had been struck by a super expert on the spot. How domineering was that? Meng Bingxue was the first to appear next to him. She released her cold chi, wanting to freeze Huangfu Mingyu into a statue. Bingxue, I don't want it. Get back. Yang Wu hurriedly shouted. He was really afraid that Huangfu Mingyu would die if he was any slower. Meng Bingxue frowned and disappeared like a ghost. Yang Wu got up, grabbed another bag of hummus, and drank a few mouthfuls. He drank too quickly and even choked himself. Huangfu Mingyu walked over, patted him on the back, and said gently, "Drink slower. No one is going to snatch it from you." This gentleness, this attitude, it was as if a wife was waiting on her husband. There was really nothing to say. "Princess Mingyu, I'm from Xia." Yang Wu raised his head and looked at Huangfu Mingyu seriously. "I know." Huangfu Mingyu nodded. "So, I shouldn't be bound by your customs, right?" Yang Wu asked back. What a joke. It was impossible for him to marry Huangfu Mingyu. The only woman he wanted to marry was Slug, Zuu. No one else could replace her. That was the vow he had made since he was young. It was also the vow he would always uphold. Do you think I'm not beautiful enough? Or do you think I'm not good enough for you? Huangfu Mingyu blinked her big eyes and asked. Yang Wu shook his head and said, "Neither. You're very beautiful and your status is very noble. I'm not good enough for you. I don't mind, but I already have a fiancée. I can't betray her. She's also the one I love the most. So please forgive me, okay? Is it her?" Huangfu Mingyu pointed at Meng Bingxue, who was coldly sitting in the distance, and asked. Yang Wu shook his head and said no. "In short, I can't marry you." Huangfu Mingyu stared straight at Yang Wu's eyes. After a while, she revealed an incomparably brilliant smile and said, "Hee, I lied to you. You said it as if I'm really not going to marry anyone else. Xia person, you think too highly of yourself." After saying this, she turned around and walked towards the others. She joined the soldiers and sang and danced together. Her face was brimming with an indescribable beauty. Yang Wu's heart calmed down. He muttered to himself, "What a mischievous princess. She almost scared my heart out." However, he didn't know that under the illumination of the firelight, Huangfu Mingyu's sparkling and translucent tears fell. On the prairie, if a man drank the horse milk wine given by a girl, he would have accepted the girl's love. He would have to marry her and take care of her for the rest of her life. Once the man abandoned the girl, he would have to suffer the punishment of 1,000 cuts and die. Huangfu Mingyu didn't tell him that because she didn't have the ability to cut him into 1,000 pieces. Then, she could only silently live out her life alone and couldn't accept the love of another person. This was the ancient custom of their tribe. It couldn't be blasphemed. Yang Wu didn't know the reason behind this. He would only know in the future. He also didn't know what the situation would be like. The next morning, before the sky was completely bright, everyone started to hurry on their journey. They tried their best to reach Mount Barbarian God before noon. Huangfu Mingyu left without saying goodbye. She only told the leader of the group to take Yang Wu to Mount Barbarian God. She then returned to the tribe alone. She was the princess. No one stopped her. No one knew what happened to her. They could only let her leave. Yang Wu felt a little strange. He guessed that it might be because of him that she was angry. However, he had to do this. He didn't regret it. After all, the two of them were destined not to have any more interactions. After rushing for half a day, they finally got close to Mount Barbarian God. Mount Barbarian God was the first mountain on the prairie. It was majestic, steep, and strange. There were many ancient trees and countless flowers growing. It was lush and filled with spiritual energy. From time to time, a few birds would fly out. It was like a celestial mountain. At the foot of the mountain, there were countless barbarians. Some of them were coming down from the mountain, while others were rushing up. Although it wasn't the time for the annual sacrifice, there were still many barbarians coming here to offer their blessings. There was a barbarian god temple on the mountain. It was where their ancestors were worshipped. It was the religion of the barbarians. So, they could worship there. In addition, there was a barbarian mausoleum built on a corner of the mountain. It was the place where all the chiefs of the tribe were buried after they died. It was respected and worshipped by all the barbarians. Because of this, Mount Barbarian God was an important place for the barbarians. It was a sacred place. Yang Wu and his group arrived at the foot of the mountain. Then, some barbarian soldiers came to check them. Yang Wu and Meng Bingshua's appearance was very easy to distinguish. They could tell that they weren't barbarians. So, they were suspicious. The surrounding barbarians also looked at them fiercely. They would have attacked Yang Wu and his group if they didn't see the guards of the Huangfu tribe. The escorting barbarians didn't dare to stop them after they handed over their orders to the soldiers. They only gave a warning. Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue were not allowed to visit the temple or the mausoleum. They were also not allowed to pick the flowers and plants on the mountain. They were only allowed to climb the mountain. After the soldiers left, the leader of the barbarians said to Yang Wu, "Guest, you can only stay in the mountain for no more than 3 days. I will wait for you here for 3 days. Then we can go back to the tribe together. You must remember what you said just now. Otherwise, you will be punished by the guardian of the mountain." Yang Wu replied, "Okay, I will go and have a look. I will be back in 3 days." Originally, he only wanted to find Little Hay. Now that he saw the mountain, he was in a good mood. At the same time, the energy in his dantian was surging violently. It seemed that he had a close relationship with this place. This was a kind of energy. It wasn't the guidance of the supreme 9 mysteries formula. In other words, there wasn't any mysterious chi here. Yang Wu left the dragon-blooded horse and the wild red hair here. He took Meng Bingxue with him and walked towards the mountain. The mountain was too high. It wasn't difficult to fly up. However, even the barbarian king couldn't fly, let alone them. Yang Wu knew that barbarian elephant, barbarian bull, and barbarian tiger lived on the mountain. Huangfu Zhanxiong had told him before. It wasn't difficult for the 3 heavenly demons to kill him here. Fortunately, he had Meng Bingxue with him. She could escort him safely, so he wasn't afraid. However, sometimes even the gods couldn't appease the people. When Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue left the barbarian soldiers, many barbarians surrounded them and stopped them from moving forward. "Get out of here, people of the Great Xia!" a barbarian shouted at Yang Wu. Following this shout, the surrounding barbarians shouted at Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue to kill them. "No matter who called the dogs of the Great Xia here, don't let them leave today. Kill them." That's right. Their hands are stained with the blood of our barbarians. They must be killed and sacrificed to the gods. Everyone, let's beat them into meat paste. Many barbarians rushed towards Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue with a ferocious look on their faces. Meng Bingshue's cold qi gradually overflowed. Yang Wu quickly pulled her hand and said with a smile, "Let's go." Then, a layer of qi appeared on their bodies. They knocked the barbarians away and flew towards the top of the mountain. The barbarians couldn't stop them at all. They were so angry that they shouted and chased after them like crazy. They were only commoners. How could they catch up with Yang Wu? Soon, they lost sight of Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue. The mountain path was rugged. Even if the barbarians were strong, it was quite difficult for them to climb up quickly. After a while, Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue had reached a certain height. There weren't many people around them. "Little Hay, what are you waiting for?" Yang Wu shouted at the sky. Chapter 278. Yang Wu's voice kept echoing in the mountain. Unfortunately, he didn't get the response he wanted. Therefore, he could only take Meng Bingxue up the mountain and enjoy the scenery. On this divine mountain, ancient trees coiled around, strange flowers and herbs covered the ground, and there were also many strange scales and strange rocks. The scenery couldn't be considered beautiful, but it should be considered a unique flavor. He was used to seeing ordinary mountains, so he felt different when he saw such a unique scenery. Yang Wu took Meng Bingxue to enjoy the scenery. He didn't want to pay attention to Little Hay. He didn't think anything would happen to Little Hay. This was a mysterious feeling. It was very mysterious, and he couldn't explain it clearly. Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue climbed up the mountain hand in hand. They enjoyed the scenery along the way, so they were in a good mood. When he reached a certain position, he found some spirit grasses and spirit flowers. Their growth was quite astonishing. He couldn't help but sigh. As expected of the divine mountain, it's rare to see such spirit herbs so easily. Yang Wu didn't take them. He remembered the barbarian's warning. Even if he took them, he didn't have to. He didn't lack spirit herbs. For hours later, he and Meng Bingxue had reached a very high place. However, this was only a small part of the mountain. They hadn't even reached the middle of the mountain. Although they were walking slowly, they had already reached a height that ordinary barbarians couldn't reach. They couldn't see anyone at this height. There were only some spirit beasts around. They walked to one of the positions and looked into the distance. Looking at the flat grassland, they felt a sense of comfort. What a nice place! Yang Wu couldn't help but praise. At this moment, he could feel the rich xian-qi of heaven and earth. He could also see the vast grassland. His soul and body were completely relaxed. He was in a good mood. It's okay. Meng Bingxue rarely took the initiative to speak. Yang Wu held her hand and said softly, "If you say it's okay, then it's okay. As long as you're happy." "Sword practice," Meng Bingxue said. "Okay, let's practice the sword." Yang Wu nodded in response. Right now, the sun was setting and the moon was about to rise. It was the best time to practice the sun, setting, moon, rising technique. The two of them practiced separately and once again began to practice together. They didn't use their profound energy because they didn't want to alarm the heavenly demons here, so as to avoid being accused of blasphemy. The art of setting sun and rising moon was a very high-level battle skill. Only when two people were connected in mind could they completely cultivate it to the great accomplishment stage, or even the perfect stage. These days, Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue had been together for a long time. The connection between them had reached an incomprehensible level. Even Yang Wu found this inconceivable. It was all because he had digested Meng Bingxue's memories. Their souls were connected. Because of that, it was much easier for them to practice the art of rising moon and setting Sunday. Previously, they had practiced together once. Now that they practiced together again, it became much easier. The two of them seemed to have a tacit understanding and were adept at it. They already had the feeling that they were working together. Compared to before, it was completely different. As they kept going deeper and deeper, one of them was like the sun and the other was like the moon. The sun was setting and the moon was rising. One was down, one was up, one was left, and one was right. The sword light was shining and the sword power was sharp. This was a mysterious sword technique. When they worked together, the sword style that they performed was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Instead, it was several times or even more than 10 times of their combat prowess. Yang Wu had digested all the sword skills of the man named Ming Zi. While he was practicing with Meng Bingxue, they had reached the tittle phase. Unfortunately, Yang Wu was only a king-level cultivator. The gap between him and Meng Bingxue was too big. Therefore, they couldn't use this sword skill to kill their enemies. Meng Bingxue liked to practice sword skills like this. She had already regarded Yang Wu as another man. In fact, these two men had overlapped, which filled her heart with happiness. Half an hour later, there were crisscrossing sword marks on the ground nearby. Every mark was the same and appeared to be in an orderly manner. The night had come. The cold wind in the mountains blew, chilling people's hearts. Yang Wu held Meng Bingxue in his arms, looking up at the full moon. He didn't have any other thoughts in his mind. He only felt homesick. No matter how beautiful the moon is on the grassland, I still like the moon in my yard. Yang Wu missed home. He couldn't wait to go back to the king's city. Meng Bingxue seemed to feel Yang Wu's mood. She gently stroked his face. Her eyes were full of tenderness. Yang Wu held her hand and said, "Bingxue, your home will be even more beautiful than this place. When you go back, I wonder if you will still remember me." Huh. Meng Bingxue was like a dream to him, a woman who came into his mind without any preparation. She made him pity her, made him protect her. Even though she had extraordinary fighting abilities, if he wasn't there, she would be just a walking corpse. He was already somewhat reluctant to part with this woman who obeyed his every word, but he was still determined to complete her soul and help her return to her peak state. Perhaps at that time, she might not even remember him. This was a sad thing. Meng Bingxue didn't answer. She just held Yang Wu's hand tighter. They spent the night in each other's arms. When the sun rose, they both attracted the purple qi from the east. After that, they started to climb the mountain again. This time, they were obviously much faster than the day before. They kept jumping, which was almost as fast as flying. As they climbed higher and higher, they didn't see anyone else. Along the way, they saw king herbs growing on the edge of the cliff. The fragrance of the herbs permeated into their nostrils. Yang Wu felt an itch in his heart. However, he didn't pick any of them. He vaguely sensed the existence of little hay. It was a very faint feeling, but it was definitely there. This little guy is definitely here. Could it be that it has already climbed to the top of the mountain? Yang Wu raised his head and muttered as he looked at the top of the mountain that was shrouded in clouds. Roar! All of a sudden, a furious roar rang out. A huge figure rushed out from the forest. It was a golden-haired ape. It was extremely tall and strong. Even the barbarians would look small in front of it. It was angrily staring at Yang Wu and the others. Its body was releasing a strong demon king's aura. The golden-haired ape king was not stupid. It could sense that these two were not ordinary. It didn't attack them immediately. It shouted, "Those who are not of my race are not allowed to enter the forbidden area. Quickly get out of here." Yang Wu looked at the golden-haired ape king and said, "Brother ape, what kind of forbidden area is up there that we can't leave?" "That is the barbarian race's heavenly stairway. Those who don't have the blood of the barbarian race are not allowed to challenge it. Quickly get out of here." The golden-haired ape king's blood was extremely strong. It was definitely not as simple as a normal demon king. Heavenly stairway, it sounds very interesting, Yang Wu said in surprise. He paused for a moment and said, "I am an honored guest invited by the barbarian race. I have even interacted with the three elders here. You want me to go and take a look?" Yang Wu was just curious. What kind of forbidden area was it that only barbarians could enter? He could also sense that little hay was up there. Otherwise, he wouldn't force it. You think you're qualified to have interacted with the three elders? Quickly get out of here. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." The golden-haired ape king said coldly. Why does no one believe the truth these days? Yang Wu shrugged and said. He paused for a moment and said to Meng Bingxue, "Bingxue, take care of it. I'm going up the heavenly stairway." As soon as he said that, Meng Bingxue turned into a blur and flew over. Before the golden-haired ape king could react, she slapped it heavily. Pang! The golden-haired ape king was in for a tragedy. It was hit by Meng Bingxue and embedded into the mountain. It was frozen by a layer of ice and could not move anymore. Such a strong demon king did not even have time to react. It had to be said that the gap between them was too big. Yang Wu did not look at the golden-haired ape king and continued to fly up. Meng Bingxue followed closely behind him. Yang Wu, how dare you? How dare you trespass into our forbidden area? An angry voice sounded again. The tigress appeared in front of Yang Wu and Meng Bingxue. Her face was a bit ugly, but her body was very hot. She looked like a mature woman. Her breasts were curvy and her buttocks were curvy. She also exposed a lot of sexy parts. Yang Wu cupped his hands towards the tigress and said, "Senior, long time no see. I only heard from the noble soldiers that the temple and the mausoleum were forbidden areas. I didn't hear that this place was forbidden. Do you not welcome me?" They are ordinary people. Of course, they do not know that this is the forbidden area of the heavenly stairway. Only the youngest warriors can take the test of the heavenly stairway. You are not a barbarian, so you do not have the right to go up there. The tigress said seriously. She paused and sneered. Besides, if you do not have the barbarian blood, you will be turned into a pool of blood by the power of the heavenly stairway. Are you sure you want to go up there? This time, Yang Wu hesitated. He did not think the tigress was trying to scare him. Maybe it was true. If you're scared, then go back. The tigress sneered again. If I want to go up there, will you let me go up there? Yang Wu asked. I do not allow it. But if you really want to go up there, I could give you a chance to die. the tigress said with a cunning look. Okay, I will go up. Yang Wu nodded and said. Then he said to Meng Bingshu, you wait here for me. Are you sure? The tigress asked again. I am sure. Let me go. Good. If you can climb up the heavenly stairway and come back safely, I will recognize you as an honored guest of our clan. You can come and go as you please. I will also give you some gifts. Thank you in advance.